Well, hello everybody. Let me just bring myself up onto the screen so you can see me as well. Is this me here? Yeah, hello everyone. Hope you're all doing very, very well out there. Let's have a look at the charts together. I've changed up the layout of the screen a little bit for today's live video. I have a ticker up the top here so you can see the price of Bitcoin all the time, no matter what. I can change that around to different coins if and when we look at them. Make myself small here, and the chat should be coming up above my head more or less during the video. Maybe make myself even smaller so that fits in more chat there. How about that? And yeah, great. So thanks for joining me. And during this episode, I will be taking a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, and Tezos, I suppose, and some other coins if you want to suggest them. So be sure to do that. And I'll be checking in with the chat. That's the thing that I'm looking forward to most. Oh, as my microphone almost completely collapses. That's what you get when you're going live, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, so I'll be looking forward to the chat, seeing what people have to say for themselves and for the prices of the coins that they happen to be interested in. So be sure to get in touch with your shout outs for recommendations to look at in terms of charting and what you think is going on in the market. I wonder if you can hear me properly as well. I'd like to get some feedback on that if you don't mind. So I'm going to set a timer here, and in 10 minutes say we can start looking at charts together. I'll just give the 10 minutes of, I don't know, chit chat at the start here, and get ready for looking at the stuff together. Be cool to have some background music. Somebody is going to be making that for the channel, so that's pretty cool. Look forward to seeing what that turns out like. And yeah, I'm going to check in with the chat as well as things go on. I hope this stream is public. Let me just make sure it's public. I would hope it's public. Visibility. Members only. What a fool I am. Well, here we go. So now it's public, and welcome to the show if you're just joining me. And yeah, I've got the timer up behind me, 10 minutes here. Just a little intro. What we're going to be doing is looking at the Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, Tezos, and whatever else you want to suggest as well, I suppose, during the video charts. And we will do that in 10 minutes, or 9 minutes actually, or so. And I'll get your chat and see how things are going with all of that. Let me know if there is any issues with the stream. And I'll just check in with the Discord and tell everybody that we are now live. Be sure to join this Discord if you want. Hi, everyone. I am now live on YouTube. Check it out. Let's see if I can get a stream link as well. This is the 8 minutes of pre-live, you know, for everybody to tune in who wants to join us for the stream and they don't miss out on anything. We'll start off talking about things properly in 8 minutes. Just getting set up here for the meantime. So yeah, let me see if I can get a link to this. Let me see, is that possible? I'll open up the charts so they're in the background while we wait for this. Say hello, by the way, if you join the stream and you are in the chat box there, then I can say bye. I can say hello, not bye, I can say bye later. I can say hello to you whenever you actually are in here, and I know that the stream's working properly and everything else. In the meantime, what I'm doing is going over to YouTube and just trying to find a link to this stream so I can share it with folk, let everybody know that I'm live at the minute. There we go, there's the stream. Oh my goodness. Well, I'll pause that so I don't make noise over myself. That's cool. Right, I've got a link to the stream. Excellent. Yeah, of course as well, be sure to say hello in the chat box and I'll read your messages whenever they pop up in a moment or two. Let me just head over to Twitter. I'll do this on the stream so I can see what's going on. Bring up the... Oh, somebody says, hey, hello there. What's your name? OTF Garcia. Nice to see you there. Hope you're doing well. Let me just head over to Twitter and share this stream link for folkies, so that people know that we're going to be talking about the crypto charts soon. Live stream, live now, chatting with you all about the crypto markets. And some hashtags. Yeah, hashtags are good in these things, right? Where's the hashtag button? Where is it? That one? That one? That one? Have I changed my keyboard type? Might have changed my keyboard type. Just forget the hashtags. Notifications. Cool, cool, cool. Right, nice one. Somebody else. Dom, hey, how's it going? XRP, the future. By the way, welcome to the chart, everybody, or to the chat, to the charts. Gray from Discord, lol. Hey, hi, Gray, nice to see you. Thanks so much for tuning in. You'll notice that I now have a ticker at the top of the screen, up the top there, and that's pretty funky, isn't it? So we get to see the prices no matter what chart I go to, and as we go through the show, if you want me to change it over, say we start taking a wee look at Ethereum, then I just have to kind of go down a wee bit, and then we can have Ethereum up there, and that'll make it easy for people to see as well as they flick backwards and forwards during the video what's going on. I also have a timer here to try and keep things. Oh hey, nice to see you, Trade Spotting. Hi Jimmy, welcome to the chart. Nice, welcome to the chat. We have the charts up behind me. Nice of you to join us. Well, there we go. Take some practice, but I'll get used to speaking eventually. You'll see I also have this timer down here. So this is going to help us just keep our eye on on what we're doing, keep focused. So I'll be able to come back to the chat and stuff like that. I'll be able to stick up the timer and say in this amount of time or whatever, we'll take a break and stuff like that, so that the chat can flow nicely. And as well, when people tune in, they'll be able to know where they can skip to along the videos just to see, you know, how things are going along. If they want to then combine that with the ticker up the top to see what chart we're looking at any given time, all that sort of stuff should make it easy enough to navigate in the videos, because I know how these live streams can be. They're quite long at times. So maybe I should as well make this, maybe I should have this bigger, this price. Maybe I should have that visible. Maybe I need to sacrifice some of the box here. What do people think? Let me know in the comments as we get started. A few minutes to go until the start of the actual stream, you could say. Let me just see if I can change this. So yeah, I could change this around a bit. Only have the chat showing up that much of the screen. That keeps the current asset price on there that we're looking at. I seem to really be messing this up though at the minute. Let's try and get this back to normal. So that's at normal. Maybe make the bit bigger. I don't know. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think about the size of the chat box. I don't really need to have your names on there, I suppose. So the or your thingies. I don't know. I don't know what way's best to have it. But that's cool. We'll be starting soon. Check out the charts. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to check out the charts in less than 3 minutes with everybody. Looks good, says Gray. Nice one. Yeah, okay, I'll just leave the chat for that for now, like that up there. You want to see your comments appearing on the screen, then of course they will. And at times if I go over to check out the comments and take a scroll back, then you might see them popping back up again on the screen. I'll leave it there. I know this could be a better layout, I suppose, but we will just crack on. I can make the background slightly bigger. Don't need the drawing tools on there and such. Okay, so there, something like that. That might be the ideal for us at the minute. Right, cheers everybody for joining us. Smaller time frame. Oh, of course, I'm up there on the 24 hours. Bring it down a bit, smaller time frame. Here we go. That's interesting. Have that up there in the background. It's interesting to see where the prices have come in at as well, with regards to the Fibonacci that I've drawn in there. It touches perfectly. That's so funny because, of course, I drew that in exactly to that price, so that's why that touches there. Good job. This is pre-stream, hey? Got a minute and 49 seconds to go. I'll just start it whenever I want to, really, I suppose, at this stage. That timer's there is just for kind of convenience for people tuning in late and the like. Leave it on the 15 minutes. I wanted to see how this lines up with regards to the PRZ, but we can take a look at that soon. Nice little head and shoulders here in this 15-minute time frame. Drop down. Looks like it's roughly commensurate with the size there of that. Roughly. Probably more like a 5-minute thing. 5-minute would be better for this chat. Adam and Eve, more like, maybe. 1 minute 44, so I'll have to reset this. XRP is gold, Steve. XRP is going to blow its top off. There we go. There's some chit chat for us. Something that we could look at during this episode, I suppose. We could take a look down there at XRP. We can see that XRP today is up 1/3% versus the Bitcoin price. Up a chunk versus the dollar. Similar time frame, similar sort of drop down in the recent time frames there in terms of Bitcoin that we're seeing. Just going to jump back over to the Bitcoin charts. Shall we get these moving averages up here? 35 seconds to go, and then I'll play the intros. Let me know if you can hear the intros, by the way. Of course you can hear my voice, because somebody would have said so. Otherwise, by now. Let me know if you can hear the music that plays in the background of this. I'm not sure if you will whenever the time comes. So yeah, 20 seconds before the show starts. So I'll start rolling the intros just now. Leave everything on the chart as well, on the thingy. And cool. Nice one. Perfect timing. Okay, reset. So 10 minutes of intro stuff, and then we will come back and check in with the chat. So be sure to leave a chatter message on there. If can hear sort of quiet though, says somebody. Oh, it's sort of quiet. Oh, you could hear the music. The music's sort of quiet. Well, okay, fair enough. Couldn't really hear that. I'll have to figure that out some other time. I think it's my desktop isn't making the noise through the stream, and it must be coming back just through the microphone for you. Right, cool. Yeah, in 9 minutes and 35 seconds, I'll drop back in with the chat, so you can leave your comments in there. I can see already Dom says XRP $10. Well, that'll be something to take a look at. Right now, we've got the 5-minute chart up behind us for Bitcoin, and as you can see, we pushed right outside the Bollinger Band there now, and we've come back in to test inside it. Maybe I'll make these Bollinger Bands a little bit more visible for everybody by turning them white. I think this usually is easier to see on stream, and I'll bring up the price action full screen, hide that off there. So what we actually have in the background are these 4 relatively short-term moving averages. You've got the yellow, which is 8, the green, which is actually hard to see, in there at 18, the 34 in there, or the 36, sorry, actually in there is the blue one, and then the pink one is the 56 period moving average, and that white line in the background then as well is the basis line of the Bollinger Bands, which means it's the 20 simple period moving average, and this is the lower line of the Bollinger Bands. We see we pushed outside of the last 5 minutes, came back in. We're discussing in the pre-show whether or not this was a bit of a head and shoulders or an Adam and Eve of some sort here. It looks a bit head and shoulders-y, with this being a really sort of tight left shoulder dropping down here, and we've been putting pressure on towards the downside. So I'm just actually going to jump back up towards the 24-hour time frame and point out a couple of things which are of interest. We can also take numbers people want to submit from the chit chat onto the charts here and draw them up if anybody has any sort of submissions with regards to what they think has been going on with the charts. Yeah, so there's a thing I wanted to point out, and this is what we're talking about in recent videos, which is the shark pattern. If I take a Fibonacci, hide this other one. Take a Fibonacci drawn in from the high in February on Valentine's Day down to the low here on the 14th of March, and then look up to where we've had these recent highs coming in at. The recent highs are positioned right up here at the 2.24 Fibonacci retracement point, the extension past the 100%, so it's 224% there, and this is the 1.618, and this zone is the PRZ for the shark harmonic pattern. So we've got to be aware that there could be a potential shark attack in this area here in between these two zones. And as we can see, the prices so far have come up here and touched off this perfect entry point with regards to that as a PRZ. If you look at this in terms of a short position, there's a few ways that you could, of course, play it just in regards to what is the big screen here, the big picture. We can look down perhaps towards the 1618 again, just as a starting point. If we were to get negative price action. Now, of course, as well, there's the bullish thing. And I want to be really, really clear that the price action is in a bullish trend, has been for 6 months. That's what we can see on the screen right now. This entire chart here is a 6-month upward trend. We've had periods of consolidation and patterns that have formed on the charts, but they've never broken down in such a way that has been really, really endangering the macro picture since we came towards the top side from March. So as you can see, symmetrical triangles breaking up the way, head and shoulders coming down but not really taking out previous lows, parabolic movements in amongst this, and there's plenty of aspects to take a look at with regards to all of this price action, so we'll do all of that. But yeah, 5 minutes left of this chat, so we'll just have a little bit of a look at this sort of potential bearish thing first off, and then I guess see what time we've got left for looking at the positive case thereafter. If you wanted to have a little trade, if it was a 5-to-1 sort of risk to reward, you could be looking in at taking a stop in there at the 19,800s if you were playing this particular move, and taking profits down there at that 14,500 area, 14,600 of this 1618. But then if you were to look to 2 more moves in terms of the bigger plays, really, if you were to use this as your line of entry, this is going to look pretty grotesque, but it's good to get this sort of fun chit-chat out of the way, and it gives people something to talk about as well, so feel free to talk about what you're seeing me talk about on the show here in the chat box. And if you like as well, what you can do is chat among yourselves, and I'll catch up with whatever you've been chatting about, suggest things to each other and whatever else. I see other people have joined us, by the way, in the meantime, such as Zoner. Nice to have you back. You were with us on the last live stream as well, so that's cool. Everybody who joins in here and says something in the chat box, I'll give you a wee shout out on the channel, so that's a bit of fun. So then you have this other potential downside target coming in and somewhere down towards those areas, but it's not using this Fibonacci here like this first one is that we were talking about. It's instead looking at the retrace on the one that we hid at the start that was open, that goes on this 6-month upward trend. So if we were to see a sudden bearish turnaround from this point based on a harmonic pattern, just as a reason for a rationale behind taking a look at this potential setup, then one of them is this Fib Retracement. Is it this one here? Yeah, so taken from the lows down here on the 13th of March then up to our most recent highs, the 2 targets for this one come in at around about the 618, somewhere in this 50% retrace down to the 618, and that's of course anywhere then between 11,200 down to 10,000 or 9,500, and then the next target, if we actually go on past that area, would come in down there at 5,660. Now this is legit TA, okay, it's legit. Now this isn't necessarily, of course, going with the trend, and in a sense I would like to undermine everything I just said by saying that this is of course counter trend, and therefore is going against the trend, and that's a risk. But what we'd be talking about would be if we see this sort of thing start happening over the next wee while, it being prepared in case it does happen. For instance, if it kicked off over the weekend and we left some CME gap on the top side above us, and that gave us this sort of ultimate goal to work towards, like we had previously with the CME gaps we filled in the past, and then we came down the way and this started cascading down the way, we'd all know about it in advance, and we can talk about the positive case stuff in a chunk of time later on, by the way. So we can just talk about this for now. So yeah, this is our shark attack zone. This is our sort of Baywatch area. Lining this thing up with that fib line is kind of annoying me. As you can see, my OCD is going a bit here. That's close enough. I'll just have to leave it. And this is our dangerous waters. Okay, so it's been good, and we've been swimming very quickly towards the top side. things to look out for then in terms of breaks down the way getting started would be then to take some sort of Fibonacci between, for instance, between our lows down here on the 7th of November up towards these highs, see roughly where the 236 is, look out for these areas and call them support in terms of a couple of different time frames and whatnot, and get a sort of little bit of a picture on the go. And this obviously constitutes today's a big chunk of today's Bitcoin technical analysis. When that timer runs out, and going back over to the chat box and then taking and seeing what everybody's got to say. So get any messages that you want to get in before that. And yeah, cool. So if we're looking here at this little move up that we've had over the last couple of weeks, what we can see is that we've been we're that movements above that 17,769 area are protecting this 236, resulting in this being a sort of invalid Fibonacci. If we do take out that area, then there's a few targets towards the downside we could look to. The 8 exponential moving average here on the daily time frame is coming in at that 382 level, around about the 17,200 to 17,300-ish area. And then on the way down, the 50% is floating alone, but the 618 golden pocket comes in at around about our 18 period moving average and this 20 simple period moving average, which is the middle line of the Bollinger Bands. So a couple other things that we can look to as well, if we're to take into account the fact that the weekly time frame, which is coming to an end on the CME, so maybe I should be doing this just little chunk on the CME chart here until for the last 30 seconds, that on the weekly time frame we are extended far away above the Bollinger Band, and of course if we were to come back down, this is going to move towards the top side. We could expect some interaction with this 236 at some point. Given that the prices are already over $1,000 above that, that's worth bearing in mind over the next wee while. Cool, so 20 seconds left for you to get any comments in that you'd like to get in for me to read before I go back over to the chat box and then come back over to the live thing. And I hope you're liking this format because it's quite structured, you know? I'm trying to make it structured. So, cool. Nice one. Let's reset that timer and check out what everybody's been saying over here. I'll stretch this down. Oh, no. Messing around with things, hey? Let's see if I can stretch it down for the meantime so a bit more chats on screen. And scroll up. Okay, cool. So, XRP the Future said, Dom, laugh now, cry later. TradeSpotting said, howdy. Howdy, TradeSpotting. So much divergence on Ethereum, it's so odd we're still bullish. That's right, Gray. It is interesting, isn't it? We'll take a look at that in a moment as well. It's nice to see the prices at the minute on Bitcoin, by the way, which are currently covered up by the chat box if you're just joining us in this live stream. Here at 18,575, having experienced a bit of a pullback already today. Maybe I really shouldn't be covering that up for anybody that's joining us, but this is just to say, have a wee check-in with the chat for now. So, yeah, you're right, Gray. We'll be checking out Ethereum soon. Check out the charts on smaller time frame. We did that earlier on. That's good. Thanks for that comment at the time. Looks good, says Gray. He was helping me get set up. Smaller time frame. That was Jimmy helping me get set up as well. XRP is going to blow its top off, said XRP is gold, Steve. So we'll be checking in with XRP at some point during this. Been mentioned a couple of times so far. Yeah, they had the starting music and all the rest of it. Sweet. So yes, it is a massive, gigantic Germanic shark. A German one, huh? Don't try to be a short hero. Interesting comment from Zoner there. Indeed, it's right. You don't want to necessarily be trying to go around catching knives and getting trends at the very peak and of them. So, you know, it's good to buy into a trend once it's already started and you can clearly see it, rather than being the guy that actually initiates the trend, because that ain't going to be any of us, I'm afraid, is it? It's going to be some big bank or something, right, at some point. Anyway, nice to see you, Rocky. Keep up the good work, says Zoner. Thanks very much. I really do appreciate the comments, everybody. TradePoint says, I heard shark attacks often leave the head and shoulders and other litter on the beach. You heard right. That's right. When the beaches get bloody, your live chat box isn't scrolling up with new messages. The light under the piano could be softer. What is the PRZ on the Germanic shark? Okay, cool. Nice one. Right, so the chat isn't scrolling up with the messages. Must be because I was scrolled up to the top. Hopefully that works now, and I move it up this way then, or something like that, and then we get the messages on screen. Cool. I'll put it up there for now. And I can actually change the lighting if you like. You can give me suggestions on that. I have a Chrome thingy for it. How do I get it up, though? I'll get it. I'm sure I can get it somehow. Yeah, I don't know if that's visible on your screen, but I can certainly change things myself, just make that a little bit darker, right? Is that gonna, that's not changed its harshness though. Temperature, coming soon. Hue, saturation, brightness. How about that? Green below, red below, green on top, something like that. Let's see how that goes. Right, okay, cool. Right, I'll start the timer again. We'll take a look in at the PRZ on that shark, maybe have a little bit of a spy at anything bullish that we might be able to see on the charts as well, because of course, you know, the main thing that's bullish is of course this trend. I finished off the last bit of the analysis by talking about how we're well outside the Bollinger Bands. We could see that coming on up, stretching up the way we will, of course, currently the way this is looking. But of course, we're closing this chart today at some point in 3 hours and 18 minutes to be precise, actually. So we will get an idea about where the next week's Bollinger Band will come in at some point, I suppose. Right, great. Anyway, back over to where we had all of that other chitter chatter on the go. Where was that screen? Here, Shark Attack Zone. Oh, God. Right, yeah, so what did we want to do here? Have a look and see if we could find anything bullish. I was going to look down the time frames first off and just check in with how we've been getting on with interacting around this top end of the Bollinger Band. You can see we wicked outside of it, came back down. You know, we could easily continue to trace this towards the top side, the PRZ on that zone OI. That's what you asked before. I'll just get rid of this one here and bring up the Fibonacci for you for that one. PRZ's coming in there, so let me just draw a box in so that we can see it more clearly. A rectangle. That was the PRZ there. Top end of it's in there at 18,750 area. Lower end of it's down there at 14,603, just in terms of this chart. We did obviously pop up above that before, but it doesn't invalidate it because we're looking at the closes here, and that's the current chat with regards to that shark pattern. So yeah, if you're just joining me, thanks so much. Oh, I should have hit that start button. Here's the start button back in the charts. Thank you very much for joining me. As you'll see, there's a ticker at the top of the screen, so you can keep your eye on the charts, on the prices of whatever you want to see. Let me know if you want to change the ticker at the top. It's not really, you know, ticking between stocks. It's just sat there on Bitcoin. And we've been trending towards the top side, and we're looking at the charts here and seeing if we've got anything kind of jumping out at us. And we do at the minute, you know, right in here at the edge of that PRZ is, of course, a big dose of bearish divergence here on the RSI. Indeed, as well, it exists on the stochastics and as well over here on the DMI as well. So we have this divergence here. Of course, this is obviously premature, but when we were looking at this pushing outside of the box there in the previous 4 hours, the idea of us coming back into the Bollinger Band area was of course realistic given the nature of what this setup is. So we're looking at this at the minute and saying that is enough fuel for the fire in terms of creating a local top, as we can see like over here. And it's a question of at this point, you know, where do we see the retrace go back down to? Currently they see the prices are 18,589, and we do have support below us in terms of things like the 8th period simple moving average here on the 4 hour time frame, coming in around about the open of the previous 4 hour candle in there at the 18,288 area, and we don't want to be taking that out in the meantime before we know, of course, then that confirms this as a local high, and then this confirms as bearish divergence, which then could potentially confirm for more downside movement if we take out our first area of support, and then we'd be looking down to that 18,000 number. And of course that's a decent enough move with the prices. Let me just get them back up so it's even easier to see. Oopsie doopsie. With the prices currently in there at 18,595, you're talking $600. So that's decent trading to be had, but of course what we'd ideally see in terms of the bull trend continuing would be breaking past this zone, and that's really why I'm talking about this in today's episode and focusing on it specifically, because that is the area to be aware of with regards to the last of the big bearish patterns that are currently staring us in the face to get played out. Now there's another thing that's worth mentioning then as well in terms of the, well, I was going to be stuck on the bearish story. The bullish story is kind of good, you know, and we've got higher highs coming in, and like just ignore that for now. Higher highs. I'll stick the volume on here. You can see higher highs, a general increase in volume compared to when it was going down the way, you could say. Generally, you know, decent or whatever, decent and stuff like that. So then and we can look towards upper side targets. We could talk about Fibonacci retracements, I suppose, real quick. Such as how we've come up towards the 2.4, we've gone past the 2.4 on that particular retrace there. Oops. So we could be looking up as high as some of these higher ones, the 3414 or perhaps the 414 up here as your next ports of call in terms of just a quick and easy target for us, and that's 19,800. And we did talk about that earlier on as well, earlier on in the show. Get your comments in, by the way. Just see Horn Hunters joined us. Thanks so much for coming here today. I'm looking forward to the Wheel of Time TV show myself as well, by the way, if you're wondering ever. So what did I want to show you there? Yes, this chart here with our wedge on it. So if I just jump back up to the 24-hour time frame and remind us of this box that we drew in at the time. Now, we were talking about this when the prices were back down here in this area. As you can see as well, we've not updated this. Well, actually, that's a downward Fibonacci retracement there, but you know, we've not. This is old material here that we're back in looking at when we drew this wedge, which we then ultimately broke out of. If I just hide the moving averages and the Bollinger Bands, because you don't really need to see that right now. Don't even need the volume down there just for talking about this. What we can see is that we came in here, and we've actually touched off of two of the one of the macro targets here. The other macro target towards the next, the next top one is that 20,500 area where we had our previous highs, not on this chart as it turns out, but on some other chart. But you can see here that when we broke out, we got our textbook measured move. So there's two things, There's this. If we just draw in the full measured move up there, it does take us up to that 20,500. So that's your next positive for us. And bearishness at the same time. So I'm able to overlap those two little stories here with us in this bit of this chunk of the technical analysis. Still looking at Bitcoin, by the way, for the next 5 minutes. Then what we'll be doing, if you just joined us, is going back to the chat and catching up with everybody. Get your comments in there. When the timer in the bottom left runs out, I'll go back over there. Then after that, we'll take a look at Ethereum. So 5 minutes left to go, and we can start talking a wee bit more bullish, I suppose, now, because we can see that while we have done the textbook measured move, and we could experience a pullback, which we've already discussed the scenario that we've gone around with that, and of course, what the result of this broadening wedge and then ascending wedge kind of can lead to in terms of the extension past the 888 or the 886 area, which came in here about this 12 to 13,000 and came up, and we pushed up the way. Now, the result of this being that we've had a parabolic move more or less towards the top side without any significant pullbacks, and we could of course come down and test off these lower areas before going on up to the top side, but we still have the measured move in play. And if we look over to the left, as we can see, there's very, very little up above our heads, and the VPVR of course is non-existent up above these points, and you're really looking there and saying, where is the liquidity going to come from in order to push us back down? We're already above the closing areas at 17,800 or so that we had in the past in terms of pivot points, which we could have been looking to in this chunk here. As you can see, the price action is in this no man's land area where the next stop does take us up towards that 20,000. Is this right now the ideal time to be going long on things like this? Well, of course not. The ideal times were at various times in the past when we conducted all this analysis and talked about it, obviously then. And that's why it becomes a discussion about whether or not we see a pullback in the meantime, and how the interaction between this textbook move and this desirable, frequently occurring full measured move could play out. What else shall we talk about? If you throw any suggestions in there, by the way, then of course I'll do that too. Got 3 minutes left here on Bitcoin, and the story can come down to, we can just, I suppose, look down here towards the really, really small time frames, since people could, I suppose, be trading this as we discuss it. And zoom on in here and take a look at how things have been going with this rise up the way. As you can see, this came in here and looked a little bit toppy and then pulled down the way, and that was in at around about a time where we didn't actually get divergence just on here between the highs, but on the 15-minute time frame, but we did pull down the way. Let's have a look at that on the Bollinger Band, see what we're kind of doing. Oh, we're just bouncing between the two of them at the moment as well. Let's broaden it out to the hour. and see, well, we didn't actually come down and touch this. If we were to do that, that comes in there at that 18,290 area. Pretty sure we came across something like a 236 in there in our analysis earlier on. So that would be a kind of bullish re-entry point for you if you're looking to be bullish right now. Oh, we've already had it in the within this last chunk of time. Yeah, so during this video, really, we've already had that entry there. The clear exit for you, if you were just to be doing a sort of scalp trade off of this one, comes back in at our previous highs. Let's see how we can actually perform. I wouldn't be too surprised if we actually went in and put in some bearish divergence again, even here on the 15-minute time frame. But we have already experienced a degree. Actually, yeah, we've had it. You know, when you look across the significant top area here, you can see we've already had it, and that we've not really suffered much as a result of that quite yet. So again, you know, managing risk in and around about that 236 if you're determined to go long on it. I suppose I'm speaking to the majority of people here. If you're looking for shorts and whatnot, then of course sort of 18650 could be an area for us. In terms of just this little move, because a retest of that 236, does that seem like it could be in store for us? Well, it's not too unlikely at the minute. Certainly isn't. Can we take out this previous inflection area on our way down here right now and do the make it so that wouldn't actually happen? I wonder. A minute left to go. Yes. Okay, cool. So get your chit chat in. If you want me to read out your comment on stream, I'll say hi to you. That'll be cool to do. And then we're going to take a look at Ethereum afterwards. If there's anything that anybody particularly wants to point out, then I'd love to hear it with regards to these movements up above and up above this zone of the low 18,000s up to the high 18,000s, in at the edge of the PRZ, the potential reversal zone where we could see prices turn around. What's going to carry us through there at the minute? You know, is there any hidden bullish divergence for us to be aware of during this movement up the way? Not really. 26 seconds left, that's enough. Not really any hidden bullish divergence on the way up here. What you do if you connect these to the bottom side is form a sort of wedge type idea. There's this on the go. Could we see ourselves coming back down towards this area here and putting in a higher low at 18,300, a $300 move down even in the meantime? Sure, we could, but we're looking to take out this area that we're looking at the minute. You know, can we get above 1630? Then push up the way towards the top side. Cool. Okay, great. Nice one. Let me just jump on over to the chat and get it so that I have to get it so that people's latest comments appear, because you're not going to make them if you can't see them. Sorry about that to everybody. So there they are appearing on screen. Let me just zoom back up a wee bit and see what people are saying. Hey everyone, said Horn Hunter. Yeah, hey. Welcome. I see you, they say in the book. Horn Hunter, BTC, hey Rocky. Yeah, hey man. I like the new setup. The light on top of the piano could be less bright if it itself wasn't directly on screen. Yeah, okay, cool. Maybe I need to adjust that. It's a bit mad loud, is it? Okay, cool. I'll come back to the chit chat in a second then, after dealing with the lighting request. If you have any color requests, be sure to submit them in the chat box. I will change the color of the lights just now at one special low payment, $50. That's a bit dark, is it? A bit dark, is it? Is it cool? Is it cool to be like that? Whatever. Maybe that's a bit better. I don't know. Right, sweet. Yes, cool. Right. Greetings from Spain. Ah, the voice winners, or should I say, the voice winners. I don't really know. Bienvenido, amigo. ¿Quieres que yo te charlo en español? Well, I'm sorry, there's just the one of yous, so I'm just going to speak in English, if you don't mind, but that's great. It's nice to have somebody from Spain there. Yes, bienvenido, my amigo. The ticker's good idea, but it has too much other information on there and takes up too much space. The countdown is good, but has no context. Okay, cool, excellent stuff. Good feedback. Anybody else going to give me feedback, then that would be appreciated. Greetings from Postle Park. Well, that's cool, Martin Dillon. I've no idea where Postle Park is. Let me know where Postle Park is. I feel like it must be somewhere in America. Horn Hunter giving me a lol. Cheers for that. It's constantly getting brighter and darker and changing color. Yeah, the light is. Should I change it? Stick it on one. Good idea. If you want, I think I hit a button here for it on my thingy. I will have to practice these skills in the future. We'll leave it on that color for now. Right, cool. If you want it to start rotating again, cool, whatever. Super distracting, says somebody. Sweet, no problem. Please move the ticker. Sorry, don't know why I said that wrongly. Please move the ticker. Can't see which time frame you look at. Ah, yeah, of course, that's annoying. How about down here then? And yeah, it has too much info on it. That's not really good. It's not really good info. Maybe you just want the price. Maybe just a couple of prices instead would be better. How about I reshape it then and give this like Ethereum and thingy. So thanks very much for this. It's really cool to have the feedback. I'll put a timer on here of 3 minutes, and then we'll go back over and take a look. By the way, just for everybody's benefit who is tuning in, this is a timer to say when we will be going back onto the next sort of section of the video. Okay. So 3 minutes or less of chat left. So there's Bitcoin and Ethereum pricing, I suppose. Could leave it like that so it's constantly on the screen down there. Yeah, something like that maybe. Maybe it doesn't need to be quite so big. Then I can chop off less of the other parts of the screen as a result. Something like that maybe. Right. Sweet. The level 2 might be useful unless you don't do that. I don't know what you mean, sorry mate. For the level 2 as in number 2 for Ethereum. Whatever. It's all good. Right, great. Like and subscribe, guys. Yes, Zoner, you got it right. Spot on. Thanks very much for joining me. Let's see how many likes we can get. If everybody could hit like, that would be awesome, right? If everybody that's in the video can hit like, wow, amazing. Because then some people will get recommended it, and we'll have more people joining us, and that'll be cool, and more the merrier as always. So be sure to do that, and if you want, you can subscribe, because what I do, by the way, for anybody who is new to the channel, is daily technical analysis for cryptocurrencies, and I do 2 videos a day. Currently, I'm looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum in one video, and then in the other video, I do Chainlink and Tezos technical analysis. So when it comes to the Tezos and Chainlink, I look at them versus Bitcoin and Ethereum as well. So if you're trading on any of this stuff, level 2 analysis on bid ask wall. All right, no, I'll not go into that just now. I don't think. Cheers for the suggestion though, AF Karimi. Yeah, so in terms of those ones, it's useful if you're trading either of those coins. You can look at, of course, whatever one you happen to be trading against. It's most likely to be one of those 3, the USD, the Ethereum, or the Bitcoin pairing. But also having that separate video where you can look at the Bitcoin and Ethereum charts and get an idea for how they could be shaping up keeps you well prepared for any circumstances in the market. And of course, as well, if you're more interested in trading Bitcoin and Ethereum, then that's cool, because you can just kind of learn a thing or two and take a look at a different chart, just as a palate cleanser almost, or whatever. So what we're going to do in 45 seconds now is jump over to take a look at Ethereum. If you've got any ideas for what you'd like me to take a look at with regards to the TA, not going to do this level 2 analysis on the bid-ask wall. I'm not going to look at the order books or anything right now either. But yeah, if you've got any other suggestions, that's cool, let me know. And if you wanted me to look at any tickers, that's cool, let me know. And when you join here, if you do just join the channel, then hit some button and say hello. You came for Link, Garden Profit. By the way, hi, nice to see you, Garden Profit. If you leave a message in there, I will say hello to you during the stream, of course. So Garden Profit said earlier, Rocky, good to see you, doing a live. Thanks so much. We've run out of time. I'm just going to jump back over to the charts. I'll be doing Chainlink for us in a wee bit. Okie dokie, I will do some of that, but we will do a look at Ethereum first. If that's okay, I'm only going to stick with that because that's what I said earlier on that we would do. Rightio, if you could take a look at Ren, it would be awesome. So, right, we're going to do 10 minutes or less. 10 minutes or less, right? This is a maximum timer for Ethereum. Technical analysis. Here we go. Let me just move over to the Ethereum charts. So we'll do 10 minutes or less on this one, and then we'll take a look at Ren. Sorry, no, we won't. Sorry, WorldQ. We got 2 shoutouts for Link beforehand. So we'll take a look at Link, then we'll take a look at Ren, then we'll take a look at Tezos, and that'll be the kind of the plan for just now. That timer should help anybody navigate through the video as well. And we're looking at Ethereum, this coin down here. Current price, it says on this ticker, 507.86 or something like that, 507.70 or 507.30 on this chart. Just nice to see that the ticker works good enough for us. 507.30. So here we are. We're above the $500 point. It's been quite a while that we've been waiting to get to this area, and we have to wonder what sort of shape this is forming for us. Of course, we've not come back down to retest this trend line in quite a while after we got our third touch and moved towards the top side and broke outside of this area really. We haven't been back down to visit again. If we were thinking about this as some sort of shape along these lines and broke out of that area, we haven't been back down to this lower line again. So would we need to reassess where we could have our lower areas of support? Yes, we would. I'll leave this on the chart for now though, and kind of just make a little discussion about how if this is going up in this manner, maybe we have something that looks like a bit of a broadening wedge on the go, which obviously does give you that chance of coming back down towards this lower area here, which of course would be scary. So let's not, like, you know, do any rain dances for that thing. And on that front, let's hope to see the prices stay above that number over there on the right hand side. That's the alarms going off outside, by the way. That is, of course, the sexy police coming to get me for being too damn sexy. Yeah, so here at 514 bucks is the top of where that Fibonacci is drawn into. So the next area towards the downside has got to be 493, and that's going to be the current areas that we're looking between in terms of our targets. Taking that one out towards the top side, of course, takes us outside of this speculative as yet broadening wedge structure and could be looking towards the top side. Now, in this sense as well, we have come up past our previous highs, past this green straighted line and all of that sort of good stuff, and we want to see things closing out that way. So just hiding the drawings off here really on what I'm talking about. Gosh, I hate doing that. I do that when I'm recording the static videos as well all the time, and it's frustrating as. What I want to see here with regards to this week closing out is to remain above, you know, the previous week, and that's, you know, totally that should happen, you know, that's what we should expect to happen, you know. So we don't want to see the prices retracing back down below 450 bucks. I mean, that's fair enough to say, is it not? But we have got a Fibonacci retracement that we could be looking at, which could take us down, if we see it going below that 493 area, down towards 460, and us being relatively comfortable with that even over the period of the next couple of weeks. Now, if we did push on far outside this area, then I think we could start to see things getting quite extended in the market and potentially looking for that sort of following along post Bitcoin in the Bitcoin. Oh, this is getting a bit crazy. When will it stop? Who knows? Maybe never. Type of analysis. If we were to push on past this area, because then it becomes a bit of a guessing game. Looking back the way, there is a good series of guesses that you can make in order to establish an idea about that, and this comes in with the Fibonacci from the all-time highs to the lows, because what we actually have done by going up past the $400 area, I do believe, now this might not be on every chart, but it should be on this, so let's just check in with it. If I take a Fibonacci, draw it in here down to those lows at 80 bucks, then the 236 came in at what, 400 bucks or something like that, was it? Where is it? I'm going to have to hide all the other ones because there's a mess of them now. 396 bucks. Okay, 396 bucks is where that came in at. And we're above that now, right? Okay, so that's cool. So we could be looking towards some higher targets, and we can pop them back on for us to take a look at, such as the 382. That would be the next target, and that comes in there at 592. Looking towards the top side then, of course, that is where our pitchfork would bring us up to, happily. And that would be dandy and lovely. But then again, if we fail to break past the 523 area, then we could easily and should probably be looking down back towards those mid 450 up the way towards the $500 region in terms of this one, looking down there at this green serrated line, where if we find the middle of the pitchfork, you know, this is going to hopefully then operate as support going forwards if we don't see a big smelly pullback. And if we did see a big smelly pullback in terms of something like that broadening wedge, where did we say the bottom of it was coming in at? Let me just get it up here. If we were to come down somewhere towards the lower end of this thing, and you're looking at the 434s, then in terms of this pitchfork,
434s. Yeah, so that lines up really quite nicely as well again with this area if we were to push down. So this has got to be your sort of your four ways forward. Your forward ways forward is what choose your poison, out of them, because we're here, right? If we would go down the way, then of course you'd be looking down, saying you've got the 236 here in there at 396, and that's where we want to see support at, yada 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 yada, in terms of the big movements up the way. But the fact is, we're above that $400 area, and this is what we're looking at with regards to the price action over the next wee while. If we look at the highs and lows, 3 minutes 55 left on this. I'll be coming back. Ethereum has a long way to go, says Garden Project. Yeah, exactly. We're talking in terms of percentages here. We're not talking small amounts. That's 15% just to go up to that area. We could be talking about big targets in here, such as 951, where we see the 6.5 area, where you could go in for a golden pocket retrace on this one. But strictly speaking, in terms of trading this is what we're looking at right now. Okay, I mean, if things go really great towards the top side, then that's fantastic, and people will be able to, you'll be able to manage your sort of your positions accordingly. If we were to move past all of this, but at the minute, this is what we have within throwing distance of us currently. If we don't break out now, of course we could be looking at breaking out past these areas, and that's why we're talking about 514, 525, that being the sort of the upward side shorter term target with that. And if we do push past those areas, then perhaps we could be looking up, and then of course what we'd be looking up to at that point would most likely be these targets that we were speaking about, coming in with that 382 at 592. Yeah, that's going to have to do with that one. And of course, we're talking about the downside. Oh yeah, we're going to talk about the divergence, which is so obvious and horrible, stinky poos. This is what somebody said earlier on in the chat. It's amazing. Whatever way you want to look at it, we've gone up, right? Whatever. I don't need to draw in the sticks, right? And this hasn't. Okay, and this has happened in the meantime. So we're looking at that. We've got a swing failure point for us as well, quite clearly in here on the middle of this area. If you're going to be talking about this from an RSI perspective, let's just draw this in. 2 minutes 14 seconds left. Then we're going to take a look at Ren, and then we're going to take a look at Tezos. Unless other people have got other suggestions in there, won't be wanting to spend too long looking at Ren. I'm sorry. I'd rather we had a couple of extra different coins to look at instead of because there'll be new people joining this stream, coming in and out, going from time to time. If you are just joining us, by the way, what we're doing right now is taking a look at Ethereum. We've got 1 minute and 50 seconds left here in this timer down the bottom before we go and take a look at one of the messages in all of the messages in the chat, and then take a look at some other coins. Okay, cool. So last minute or two here. Yes, divergence, and we have the swing failure point moving up above that. Of course, is quite good. As we can see here, this has got this trident of divergence in these last three highs on this 24-hour time frame, and jumping down the way, then we can see that we're trying in and around about where that swing failure point really is in terms of this 4-hour time frame, not managing to push above it right now, while we have of course got a higher high in at the moment, coming within spitting distance of that top end of the pitchfork upper line there. So right now, talking about crucial zones and whatever else, that's clearly one. Let's bring in another degree of confidence by just checking out where we are positioned with regards to the Bollinger Band. We're outside of it currently. When you're outside of it, then you're talking about a slightly change in dynamics, unless you're looking to push up and up and up and up and up and trace the thing, in which case it's going through your bodies. If you're actually living outside of it, opening and closing above it, as we are coming in to do in the next 48 minutes in terms of this 4-hour candle, then of course that's a different story. Cool, so there's a few suggestions there coming up on the list, just as we're got 30 seconds left in terms of time on the chart here for us to look at. So get your comments in. We'll talk there. Welcome to the stream if you're just joining us. If we need to go back and visit Ethereum again, then we will. We will probably take a look as well at Ethereum versus Bitcoin during this episode at some point, but you can see I have an episode out yesterday. We talked about this bottom coming in here being divergent, the upper side targets, what it would mean to push past the 26 area. We've got our target towards the top side in there at 28.2828, and we have not hit that quite yet. So there's that. Where did we get up as high as 27.96 or something like that? 27.91. So we got pretty close to that 28 area. If we can see that continue, then we see it continue. All the chat yesterday was what we were talking about Anyway, with regards to that, that's all cool. I'm jumping over to the chat. So, nice one. Thank you so much for joining me, by the way. My name's Rocky Outcrop. If you haven't seen me on YouTube before, then you're in the right place. Thanks so much. We're taking a look at the crypto charts here. Welcome to everybody that is in the chit chat. If you want to get your comments in, then I will read them out and give you a shout out during the show. If you want to put a comment on and you specifically don't want me to give you a shout out because you're embarrassed and you don't want anybody talking about you and all of that, then you can do that too. Just say don't read this at the start or something like that. Whatever. So great, nice one. Garden Prophet, Rocky, good to see you. That's kind of more or less where we left off last time. He said he came for Link, and of course Link is what we're going to be talking about next. Long-term outlook for Chainlink is what Martin Dillon wants. Wellq wants me to take a look at Ren and give me the thumbs up. Niren came along with the longest name in the world. Can you imagine if Niren there, Nav and Ethan, was a football player and you had to get his name on the back of your strip, how much out of pocket you would be? It would cost more than the price of the strip itself if they charge on a per letter basis. Nav Ethan, and I'm not going to attempt to say your surname. Woot woot, another treat of a live stream. Yes, great to have you here, buddy. Thanks so much for joining me. Let's go smash the likes, ladies and gents, he says. Yes, thanks so much, ladies and gents. If you smash that likes, it would be amazing. If everybody that's in the stream could hit that like button, that would be super duper duper. If I check and see at some point there was more streamers, more people watching it than people hitting like, then I will cry. There are so many alts that are going to do well, says the Garden Prophet. Even XRP, funny semantics that you're using there, which probably has some huge upside coming as well. Interesting stuff that, isn't it? Yes, you know, even XRP, which has been such a dog, really, hasn't it, for such a long time, probably has some potential upside, and there's a lot of good things to be said about it, you know? A lot of good things to be said about it and what's going on in the terms of the interest in the world with regards to cryptocurrency and stuff like that being revived once again. So as well, every single project out there is going to get a second look in. There are so many projects, though, we can probably talk about a variety of them. Remember when Bitcoin was at this price? At what the price? This price? The price is at right now? Yeah, I remember. Ethereum has a long way to go. Oh, you mean like with regards to Ethereum? Of course. Yeah. It has got a long way to go. Long way to go. If you had a list of coins coming up and those already done, people might like that. Yeah, Algorand, Harmony 1, XRP, Polkadot, ADA. Okay, cool. A list of coins already done. How am I going to do that? A list of coins already done. Right. I suppose I just have to... No, I don't know if I can't rely on the chat for it. I mean, I could keep making text boxes on the screen here, or I could open up another window. I don't know. I'll figure something out. Already done Bitcoin and Ethereum, by the way, to everybody joining us. And yeah, cool. I'm going to be moving this ticker over, I suppose, to the next coin that we look at when we do, so I'll have to adjust that. Yeah, catching up with the chat though. Anyway, Algorand, Harmony 1, XRP, Polkadot, Cardano says trade spotting. There's some choices for coins that we could look at. Tezos USD, fat falling wedge on the daily, close to breaking out. Am I the only one who is seeing this? Well, interesting. Let's go take a look at that on the daily in a wee bitty. Please hide the watch list box and line up chat box with video. Hide the watch list box. Hide the watch list box. Is that the one? Is that the one where the prices are in the background? Just do this sort of thing. Right, cool. Move it down like this. Just go with that. Is that better? Let me know if that's any better. Charles Smith says, and hi, Charles, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me. Charles Smith says, Algorand, there you go. Sweet, cheers. Okay, so that's another one that's got 2 votes, so we'll definitely take a look at Algorand then. But I put my stepmom's life savings into Algorand. Charles Smith gives it the old shruggy shoulders. YFI 11. Right, yeah, YFI, Yearn Finance. Poof. Maybe we'll take a look at Yearn Finance. Do we want to touch that dynamite? I don't know. Let's give ourselves, how long do we want to look at Link? Let's just give ourselves 5 minutes for Link, okay? So 5 minutes of Link coming up right now. Let's jump on over to the Link chart, and we'll take a look at Link versus the dollar first off. So, yeah, right. This is what we're... This 5 minutes is just a suggested timeline, by the way, for people. This is us catching up then with what we were talking about before. Divergence clearly on the go here, okay? So this is the 4 hour time frame. Checking in with the daily time frame. Do we have that divergence? Bring this up full screen. It looks like we're escaping that in terms of this rise up since the 27th of September. Obviously, we're not managing to take out these highs as yet. We don't have any hidden bearish divergence in terms of these two highs and whatever else. It's all about this move so far, and we're doing that okay. Should we close up in this area? So I'm actually looking once again at this 1370 area and asking, this is what we need to see as support. If we don't, there'll be question marks coming in here at this point about this divergence potential, given that our anchor on this is back here lining up with the last one, where we did have bearish divergence on the run up the way. But as you can see, because we didn't come down and touch the lower end of this channel, this didn't really ultimately turn out to be a high. So the easiest way for this divergence to be burnt off at this point was to actually find support early enough on here, for instance at the 382, and then rise towards the top yet again. So little lesson to be had there in terms of prematurely assessing divergence. At what point do you say it definitely is divergent? When you've got a candle that's coming down the way, or maybe even a few of them, you've had it for a couple of days and it certainly looks like a local top. It can be flattering to deceive really until such times as you're coming in past certain other areas, you know. And for instance, our one for us looking at this would have been $12.17. If we want to bear these things in mind, sort of the upside downside targets, well, of course 1440 was the upside target that we had in mind before. What do we see here? 1448, that's behind the chat box so you can't see that. 1448 was our high of the day. So lovely jubbly, we've been actually ticking along on point quality stuff with regards to Chainlink along the way here. It's therefore interesting to see that this is not divergent at this point, especially when you consider that it is on the lower time frames. Are we going to burn off this 4 hour divergence, or are we going to set in bearish divergence here, which is not in place as yet, with a pullback throughout the day for that? Or will we secure this area and perhaps move up? Could be about time we start looking towards the potential for moving outside of that zone. Have we got this then coming in low, shallow enough for us to be considering it to be like a wedge? You could, but it's a bit crap with it only having 2 touches on it. If you were looking at it like that, that's a bit crap, you know, to be saying that we're breaking out of this thing. To stick the volume back on to see if we can see any adjustments with regards to that. So we had this increase in volume here, but it was a decrease relatively speaking. Overall, the average is going up the way. I don't want to call it like that. Instead, it's much more sensible to just kind of say, like, you know, if we don't come in and put in and continue to go outside of this area, maybe we're in this little wedge which will then ultimately break out the way, and it's a rising one, so it's more bearish. If it did break down the way, all it does is take you out to fill out this channel, in which case we've got our targets in mind. And if it takes you up the way, then what we have is a liquidity zone to be looking out for first. That's going to constitute fake out territory in terms of any moves outside of this zone here. So if I just take a sort of simple measuring stick and stick it up the way here, you're looking up towards that $17 area. But how about we pay in mind the target that we had for quite a while in the charts with regards to the turning around points down here whenever we put in that low, and we started talking about $15.60, and try not to get too greedy, being aware of the fact that this would be a fake out territory from that zone. So maybe what we could see happening if that were to go down with a degree of messing you around could be along these sorts of lines, you know. For instance, where you have to re-question everything at that point, you get a sideways question mark on the chart, if you will. A little bit of a shape pun, if you like, there for the lulz. So yeah, could we end up with that sideways question mark on the go, asking that question about whether or not we're going sideways at that point, and needing a retrace, or going towards the top side? We haven't done much consolidation in around this point. I wouldn't be surprised to see some, and if we filled out this thing, then of course that'll probably be my least surprised outcome, would be to simply kind of push around in those zones, bringing in the downside targets at 1370, the topside targets in there at 1460, moving up the way towards $15 without any significant move beyond towards the $16 area. Just consider it to be continuing on with that structure. 16 seconds left. Is that enough time to check out how we're doing versus Bitcoin? More or less is, in fact, when you consider that we're in this zone, which is what we were looking for. Support has to be considered to be around 74,000. Topside resistance going to be coming in there. Bollinger Band top 85k, and the 236 in there at 90,000 as the next target towards the top side, and I'll take an additional 30 seconds sure to check out the Ethereum pairing, seeing that we've come in here and hit again off of this area that we spoke about, and this is, well, of absolutely no surprise. And we're back down towards the median line of the Bollinger Band. This chart pretty much speaks for itself. Hidden bearish divergence is the one thing that I could point out here in terms of saving you some time when looking at this one. I would be aware of the potential for volatility in this zone. Wouldn't trust the positive cross on here in terms of the 24-hour time frame. Jumping down the way, then looking at this and saying that we're in chop while we're positive here is worth bearing in mind. But back up towards that 24-hour, point out the fact that we've got volatility lying in the wings for us, waiting to happen because of that ADX positioned. I wouldn't be surprised to see almost anything happen here, pushing up the way. Topside targets 30, then afterwards 32. Downside targets support, of course, 27.5 and 25.79 then thereafter. Cool, nice one. In 2 minutes, we'll go back over to take a look at the chart. We said that we would look at REN real quick before going on to something else. So in 2 minutes we'll do that, but we're back over here and chatting with people in the box. So get your comments in if you want to have a wee chit chat in the next couple of minutes. Thank you so much for joining me on this live stream. My name is Rocky Outcrop. If you have not been introduced to me before, then lovely to meet you. And cheers for joining me. And we do crypto technical analysis on a daily basis. It's good stuff. Hit that like button and all the rest of it. No problem, Garden Profit. Anything else you'd like me to look at with regards to Link? Because, of course, we could. I don't know if you found anything in there which was not what you were already seeing. I'm sure you pretty much get kind of used to seeing how I'm going to be looking at the charts anyway, given that my episodes are so consistent. Let's see what you're saying here anyway. Let's catch up with people. So yeah, so many fun waves to surf. DFI money, says Charles Smith. Well, interesting stuff. DFI money. I don't know if that is you trying to say a ticker there or something like that. Maybe it is. I wonder. I got in before $5, says the Garden Prophet. Well, there you go. Eat your heart out, everybody. He got in before $5. We're looking at $14.25 at the minute. I wish it would go back down there, he says. Thanks for the link, Rocky. Yeah, so you know that's what you find, isn't it, in these markets, that you find that people really just want the prices to go down if they believe in the project. You know, it's kind of almost an inverse correlation. The more you believe in something, the worse you want it to perform, whilst you have that maximum belief in it, so that you can buy it in when it's cheap down in these areas and then ride it towards the top side and laugh your face off when everybody else realizes that you were not crazy and in fact it is the greatest thing after all. So yeah, the higher the price is on Link, the more people seem to know about it. Could you add YFI and BSV to my charting? Well, there's a chance I could. There's a chance I could. The ones that I'm doing at the minute are potentially getting a bit tired. I'm not sure. I think I'll probably stick with Tezos because it's a service to the community. I do that almost altruistically, that one. I think that any coin that is worth anything will have people look at it who are serious and do a good job when it comes to technical analysis. So since I include myself in that bunch, I'm kind of doing that for Tezos. I don't mean that arrogantly, just that's kind of how I'm doing it. Anyway, let's look on down the way and put a couple of different coins in this ticker for now, because we're going to be taking a look at Chainlink. And why not? Let's leave XRP and Chainlink sat in the ticker. Then we are going to take a look at REN for just now. That's actually confusing to people because we're not going to be looking at Chainlink just now. I should have had that up when I was doing the Chainlink analysis. Oh, faux pas. Let me get up REN. I don't think I've got it on my saved list, by the way. REN USDT. I'm going to assume that you meant REN USDT. And this is a clean chart, so I mustn't have looked at this particular one before. That's cool. This is on Binance. We can take a look. First off, we're not at either of the Bollinger Bands, between those two areas. Let's take a look at on the bigger time frame, see if this is finding support there. That's decent to see. Weekly support coming in here at the median line of this thing, whilst we look to have a symmetrical triangle more or less on the weekly from a really broad perspective here. So if we're looking at this thing, we have to be aware of this potential pattern where we could come in for a bit of a break at that at some point soon. We're right in the middle of it. You're wiser off. There you go. Trading the range in the meantime. Let's stick a range on there for us. In fact, let's use a parallel channel just so that it can make it even easier to do this. Really stick it in here, kind of going like that. Just as a sort of general idea about where the, oh, actually I'll make it up a bit higher, where actually the prices could live in the current period of time before breaking either of those things. So we get a couple of targets in here, and we can see that the lower side then comes in at around about 24.5 to 25 in terms of 0.25, so that'd be 25 cents. Remind myself, I'm looking at the dollar here. And then this side could be 35, you know, towards the top side. So there's a range of 35 cents. We've been up there almost at that height today, well, 33.5. So that's the area. In fact, you know, I'd really push beyond that in the current time up to say 37, really, because that's where we're seeing the top end of that coming at. Let's spread it out a wee bit by looking at it on the 24-hour time frame. We can see that we had this high come in here. There is very much bearish divergence between the tops on that high at the time. If we go between these two tops here and these two tops on the RSI, we can see that we had that divergence on the go. So that then led to this bit of divergence here, which then led to the downward side price movement. Then we came up, and what we've seen happen here is we've then started to form this symmetrical triangle on the weekly time frame, and and this area here where we have this high is actually come up to this point here on the RSI. Bringing that up full screen, we can see that that comes in and lines up with, and is perhaps potentially higher than, it's obviously going to be a very, very tight call, but no, it lines up with, so what you've got there is class B, so it's not perfect, you know, it's not higher than it, but it's your class B hidden bearish divergence there in this chunk of time just now. Then this high coming in at the minute, not hidden bearish divergence, which really does kind of help sum things up for us in terms of what to look to in terms of the area outside of this zone should we move past it. Let's get our measuring sticks out for it, and bear in mind then that there will be a very, very big move here. We're talking about a big time frame, and this is not a price prediction. This is really just talking about risk and whatever. You could be looking as high as 65 cents if you go out towards the top side. If things become a little bit overextended, if they actually sort of front run it, then I wouldn't expect to get the full move off here, and instead I'd look towards that 60% sort of a target and be considering how this all then lines up with regards to our previous highs, because this is going to be an area for us to be aware of in here at this price point of 60 cents ish area. So I'd be aware of that kind of dynamic if that were to happen. If we actually kind of then, you know, go for the sort of average exit point, then that, of course, that dynamic still exists, but we might have the strength there to take it out, at least in terms of a wick, and try then beyond. But if we were to see a crash in the markets, if this were to be something that just consolidates while we wait for Bitcoin to finish going towards the top side, if that's what happens, right? Or at least if Bitcoin were to trend down the way for a month or something like that, how would that affect this in the meantime? And you could see shocking things happen to the prices, so it's worth bearing this in mind, even though we are indeed in a bull market in general terms. So looking down the way, we've got to look down to 8.5 cents, and then if we go for the full measure move, going into the negatives there, so that's not a possibility. I'll just leave this on the top side over there for now, and that more or less sums this up from a broader perspective, looking at it in terms of daily, weekly, and what else. I've run out of time. Mustn't have set a timer for this one. Should have had a timer for it. So we'll give it one more minute, and then I'll go back over to the chat. Get your comments in if anybody wants any more comments there afterwards. By the way, I don't know if you wanted me to look at this at Bitcoin or anything else, but we've run out of time for it essentially now. But we've got 1 minute left, and on that last minute, how about we just kind of go on in and take a look at things on a smaller time frame and put these back on. Take a look at the half-hour time frame. Let's rise up the way, looking okay, looking good. Rejected on our first pass, that's okay. Coming in higher, that's okay. Off this area, that's okay. So in the meantime, what I'm going to be saying is that I'm looking up towards 32.75 in terms of movement here. I want to take that out and move past this. Think it's totally feasible to think that that's possible. So let's just say that we could be looking up towards 33.7 as the next area towards the top side before kind of getting too concerned about becoming overextended with movements there. So this could be our target to look to if we're going to have one for the next wee while. Okay, cool, nice one. That'll do in terms of that coin. I'm going to bring the chat up, everybody, if you want to get some chat messages in there. By the way, Cool. So, starting at the very end, because WalQ says, great to have a fresh view at Ren. Thank you, mucho. Well, you're totally mucho welcome, de nada. I wonder if my Spanish friend is still here. So, yes, the Garden Profit. I got in before. $5. Yes, that was a wee while ago. It's crypto. Could you add Wi-Fi? Yeah, I could think about that for sure. Hey, brother, where can we show appreciation through donations? I don't know, man. Have I not got Super Chat set on? I'll go and I'll set Super Chat on, but I'll also go and tell you that I have a Bitcoin donation address, for instance, in my Discord. If you go over to the Discord, you can donate, and I've got various affiliate codes and stuff in here that you can help to support the channel with. Here's an address. I'll just stick it in here. For instance, thanks very much. I need to get something set up for that though, right? You've probably seen the types of things that Mitch Ray does and whatever else. Should probably get something set up for that. In 1 minute, I'll go and I'll take a look at Tezos, everybody. So we're doing Tezos in a minute. I'll change the ticker over here to show Tezos on it if it's on this list. I hope it is. Indeed it is. So let me just kind of see where we got to. ONT. Did I go past it? Went past it, didn't I? Where are you? Because this is super difficult to line up because it's me being silly. Where is this? What number is it? There it is. There. Tezos. So just want to move it a little bit. Tezos coming up. Put that on the screen. That's what we're doing in the next 25 seconds. Sweet. Cool. Nice one. Thanks very much, BTC, at that address. Thank you, Garden Profit. You are a generous person. And anybody else who wants to donate to the channel, there you can absolutely do it. Thanks so much, by the way. I need to get that set up then. Shall it take 10 seconds to open up the window? Do you want to see how these things work behind the scenes when it comes to YouTube? I can open up the YouTube window and show you what we're talking about in terms of super chat and stuff like that. Do I have it enabled? Do I need to go in here? Monetization on, I guess, right? Non-skippable live chat. Enable slow mode. Only channel members may send messages. Allow chat to replay. No. Details. I don't know how you. I honestly don't know how you do it. These guys that are out there making all the monies on their live streams, they're the ones that know how to do it. I don't. There might be another page in the background for setting up super chats or whatever, but I honestly don't know. If it's in there, somebody can tell me. But I honestly just couldn't tell you. Go back to the studio. There's a monetization tab here, and there's like super chats here, supers. So maybe this is the thing. Manage super stickers. No. Supers? Follow best practices. Your super chat and stickers activity. No super chats yet. We aren't able to show super chat transactions at this time. Disable super chat. No, don't disable. Turn off super chat. No. Don't want to disable. That's weird. They're enabled, right? That means enabled, okay? Is this enabled or not? If I hit that, it says, if you continue, your fans will no longer see super chat as a purchase option and you'll no longer earn revenue from it. But I think you guys don't see that as a purchase option anyway, right? Let me know what you see. I can't see it. I don't know. And whatever. And let's go back to the show, shall we? Groovy. Let me just get the charts up. Let me know in the chat box, all that stuff. It's nice to have had a look at Ren. There's other things we could have done, by the way, just before we move away from here. Just little things that I tend to do whenever I'm doing any analysis, just to put context around. I've hidden the one thing I want to get. Just to put context around the current price action and stuff like that. You can see that we're getting, the prices are struggling to move above that 236 in there at 3325. But if we take that out, that's when you can sort of hit the go button and might make it easier for you to manage your trades. For instance, it just tends to line up like this. Doesn't strike me as much of a coincidence that this type of chat is so readily available. So anyway, might as well have done it before moving on. So we're going to take a look at Tezos now, ladies and gents. Let me get the timer up so everybody knows how that's going. I don't know how successful this whole timing thing is. in terms of people just joining the show and stuff like that. But if you have just joined the show, then be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment. I'm really looking forward to leaving your to reading your name out there and all the rest of it. So that's cool. Do all of that, and I will absolutely look forward to giving you a wee shout out on the channel. And we can also look at whatever you want to look at and stuff like that too. Let's go and take a look at Tezos. I need to zoom back out a bit here because this actually is the Tezos chart, and this is on the 30 minutes. Let's get a bit of context up here. Put it on full screen, take away all the drawings, and let's see what we're looking at. So Tezos, it has been kind of disappointing in a way, hasn't it? In the sense that what we were looking for here with this low was to come up and really try and push past these zones in the 230 area and try and move towards the top side in the way that we've seen Chainlink really kind of trying to do for us recently. We had this starting kind of phase here where we move towards the top side a bit, and while over there on Chainlink, what you can kind of see is that during that phase of price action just kept on going, right, and going up that parallel channel, lovely movements towards the top side, and it's continuing to do so, to this day. What instead we see with Tezos, and it's a difference, is if anything, there's more of this downward movement, right? If you're going to draw a comparison between them, that it started off looking hopeful, like we could go up there and have that, and then we came down the way, and we saw the prices going down as low as 186 over there on the 5th of November, and that's not good. Bringing up the oscillators down below and comparing this low here with our previous lows over here, however, we can see that they are indeed bullishly divergent. So that's positive then to have that on there, and to see that this movement down the way has somewhat failed to muster up the support to rally the troops. The prices went on further down, and it wasn't like everybody then says, well, tell you what, I'm going to sell even more. Instead, that then actually kind of stopped happening, and we saw the volume went up a little bit as well, so the momentum drained off as we saw an increase in volume. So that was nice to see. So I start to feel a bit more positive about this in terms of whether or not it's putting in a bottoming formation of some sort, whatever particular type it could happen to be. Maybe some sort of crappy, really spread out, stretched Adam and Eve at the bottom here, or whatever, with a neckline coming in down the way here. And we can draw this in terms of, like, instead of thinking about it as being Adam and Eve or whatever, we can just think about it in terms of patterns and whatnot. Now this goes down the way because of this other low. So what does that really mean to us? If you can drag it back as far as you like, really, with regards to that thing, what it really means for us is that this is kind of more like a wedge, if anything. But the most recent price action that we've had has been operating within a symmetrical triangle, and we broke out of that, came back up, retested it, and have so far been resisted by the by the sort of the extension past that point, and it's quite clear the interaction. So really, if we break past that $2.13 area, then we are looking good. And this is a repetitive story. We talked about this for a wee while. This area here, where we have this new kind of Japanese frog, is here, and is a ninja, and we have to defeat him to get past towards the top side, and that's what we're looking to do if we can push past this area. So our top side target is obviously 213, and then 222, and that remains the case. It's been what we've been talking about for the last wee while on the show. If we continue to go towards the downside, as we did over the last couple of days, not today, if we were to push on down past that moving average there at 2 and 7, that's a problem, but really that's not the big deal. The actual issue that we're looking at the minute is that round number, $2, where we're seeing the median line of the Bollinger Band coming at around about that point, and the 4-hour chart there's been, this range here is not really, it's pretty consistent until such times as we're actually able to push past the 214 area. Then of course we can still say that we're looking towards downside currently from that point of view, whereas if you look at it from the other point of view down the way, you can make the inverse statement so easily and say, well, so long as we're above $2.03, we're looking for upside price action, which we still are. We are got this inflection point in the meantime in the middle there at the 6.818, blah blah blah, golden pocket area, and that comes in there at $2.12, which gives you that kind of, that's what we're looking at. So it's a real, that's the hard work that Tezos has to do over the next wee while if it wants to go towards the top side. And when I say that, that's not really necessarily fair. It's not Tezos itself that has to do the work. It's not our beloved Tezzies. It's interest from the rest of the markets out there and whatever else. So it's a little bit of a shame to not see what we've seen in terms of upside price action happen for Ethereum and whatnot translate over to the Tezos pricing. And as such, what we see is a continuation of price action moving towards the downside. These hopeful moves towards the top side there, which are obviously counter trend, not working out in terms of potential trades for us. We did have bullish divergence coming in here at the bottom end of this wedge area. Looked like we could potentially break out of it, but we haven't been able to do so, and it's really because the dollar price has been suppressing that positive price action, which is curious to me. It's curious to me that that would be the case, because it puts everything out of kilter. And as we can see, the same situation over here on Bitcoin, and it means what you need to do is go into your charts and rejig your sheer speculative, consistently speculative Fibonacci retracements down towards the latest candle all the time. As you can see, this 4-hour candle as well, including new lows yet again for Tezos versus Bitcoin. And this is, when I say new lows, is, by the way, it's like going back a very long time. It's not all-time lows, but it's new lows going back as far as November 2019, losing all of the positive action that we've had versus Bitcoin throughout the year. So when you look then back at how we've done versus the dollar prices since 2019 in the comparison, you're talking about it being below $1.30. There was a spike where it went up towards that 194 area, and again, I suppose that does speak to that 194 as being a very crucial support area, which we know about as well. We've talked about that so many times in all the recent episodes. I'll stick a horizontal in there, sure. Why not? Where is she? Horizontal line should be at the top. There it is. So we know, we've talked about this area and how important it is, and of course that is a big pivot for us still to this day. But in terms of the dollar pricing, realistically, we're 100% up versus that, whereas actually we're down here putting in the lows that we haven't put in against Bitcoin, and I suppose Ethereum will be the same. Yeah, exactly. Is it all-time lows versus Ethereum, in fact? Close. It's not all-time lows versus Ethereum. Of course not. Of course it's not. But yeah, not great, right? Not great. So yeah, it remains disappointing on that front. And every time we move this down, we can now see that the 236 lines up with this area before a previous pivot. The hard work that we need to do to get to that has got so many of them between where we are now and then. The trend is towards the downside, very much is so. And I feel that there's very little charting to be done on this in terms of counter trend moves, and that's why I've been kind of so negative about this chart, both of these, for the last ages, really, because of the lack of positive things to say about it, and you have to be realistic and talk about the trend. So while we know that our sort of value hasn't been stripped away completely, with our dollar price sticking, good to this above that 236 in there at 211 or so, whatever we talked about so many times, we know that's a pivot in and of itself where it is right now. We haven't got that on the Bitcoin and Ethereum pairings, and it is just a downward trend, across the board with regards to all the time frames. Really, this is the 4-hour time frame. Let's look down the way and find at what point does it actually start to look like it is going above the moving averages. So starting off here in the 15-minute, and we've got the 8 period and the 20 simple behind us now, underneath us now, and that's the first positive thing. Go up to the 30-minute time frame, and no doubt, yes, indeed, we're below it, and therefore we will be on every single time frame up above. We're not seeing that positivity come in. So it's quite easy. It does make for an easy story, to continue going with. Like until such times as we see the prices taken out at the previous highs that we've had here at any given point, you know, and then moving up to the next one and the next one and the next one, then we're not changing the story. We need to take out our previous high. So just going back the way you can see failure to do it every single time with every subsequent high since we've been up there. This was the first time we did anything, and it was just this little zone here, so that's not really much of anything to talk about. Ultimately came in with a lower high than this one, and that was our previous high. So if we're going to have two main significant ones to look to, it's going to be there at 1450, really 1425, that you need to see it moving up above before structurally anything has changed. Cool. That's our time for Tezos during this one run out. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to jump back over to the chat and catch up with y'all. Thanks, by the way, for everybody who is joining us for the episode today. So I'll just stick this on. We don't have much chat. I can just do 1 minute of this, and then I'll go take a look at Algorand. So I'll stick on one. I'll give it 1 minute and 30 seconds because, hey, who knows how this will go. And then I'll change this ticker to show Algorand. It won't actually be on this, will it? I don't care if I do it or not. Let's catch up with the chat. You're going to learn because we are going to pay you. Well, that's sweet. If that happens, that's great. I see it says TradeSpot, and that, of course, will be in relation to the super chat box. And you're right. Yes, a little birdie told me it's your birthday soon. That's right. It's my birthday soon. So fantastic. I hope you're all able to see your latest comments coming up on the screen, right? I think you can, just above my head. There's me reaching up towards Christian. High five, Christian. Thanks for the live stream. You're welcome. Little birdie told me it's your birthday soon. It is. It's my birthday. Here we have it. Let's see if anybody can guess what day it is. I'll give you a clue. It is the patron saint of Scotland. That is the day of my birthday, Scotland's patron saint day. Let's see if any of you can guess what day that is. Of course, you could Google it, but let's just see. Right, cool. Anyway, I'd wait for you to put the tip jar on, then start filling it up if you fancy doing it now. Oh, right, cool. How do I do the tip jar thing? Does anybody know how I do it? If somebody wants to let me know, leave a link, whatever, to how I put that tip jar thing on my screen, then I will do it. Or if you want, I could just Google it and we could look it up together. We could chat about it at the time. Whatever. We're running out of time here in terms of this chat section, so I'll reset that up to 10 minutes. And we can take a look, or I'll do 5 minutes. We'll take a look for 5 minutes at Algorand in a minute or two. The 34th of November says TradeSpot. It's not the 34th of November. Let's just look it up here together then. Nobody got the answer. Patron saint of Scotland. It is St. Andrew. St. Andrew. So when is St. Andrew's Day? When is St. Andrew's Day? Oh, the 30th of November, and it's a Monday. So that will be my birthday this year for everybody who's interested. I'll be 35 on the 30th of November. Interesting stuff. Right, cool. So let's take a look at Algorand. Algorand. I want to be an Algorand. I'm going to start this timer. So wait, I'm going to have to make this thing line up. Algorand isn't going to be in this top list of coins, is it? It's not going to actually appear on this thing. Maybe I'd have to search for it. Can I be bothered? Algorand. Let's get it. And let's see if I can line up this box thing. Algorand. Yeah, I can, kind of. If I just like sort of do that sort of thing. Yeah, stretch out a bit. Right, cool. Algorand price is on the screen. It's on the screen, and we are looking at the Bitcoin parent. So let's actually go over to the dollar parent here. First off, though, actually on the Bitcoin parent, as it happens, you can see we're coming up towards this top side here, having found a nice little kind of pull back on the go here at this low. You could make the argument that in the 4-hour time frame compared to this low over somewhere in the past, you could make the argument one of these past lows that we're looking at Divergence, and just generally speaking, looking at the chart here, you can see that we've gone down the way, while generally this has gone up the way in terms of the lows, and that's kind of not been super great. But let me just counteract that real quick by saying that we're also seeing in terms of this high the potential for the potential staring us in the face for hidden bearish divergence. That is there, that we need to be aware that without a significant rise up in the price, we won't be taking out our previous high. So we need to see the prices going from 15 to 16 cent. A nice solid 10% move in order to avoid coming in here with bearish divergence, because that could happen, hidden bearish divergence, if we push up the way and don't take out that price in terms of how the RSI is looking. You can see that, but that's cool because we've had this candle here, and that is a little bit of a resetting type candle. Although it is a little bit of a negative bearish pullback on there, it's resetting it somewhat and gives us another chance at that for now. Looking at this move up the way, we can start off and say that we're pretty positive about how we've got on so far, and that's good to see. Remaining above the 236 in here at 27.79, so sort of 28 cents area in terms of this movement that we've had since we came towards the top side. Now, if I stretch this out a little bit more, then obviously that that story continues in terms of the 236 coming in there at 27.33, and us having moving averages and whatnot up above that area. So that's all good to see. Jumping up towards the 24-hour time frame, are we seeing these things then actually start to move around with regards to the moving averages and the Fibonacci in relationship to each other? Let me just take it from the low to the subsequent high here instead of this one where we currently are actually, and draw the 236 in there. You can see that the 144 and the 56 remain the 36 the 30. Let me just double check. Yeah, the 36 and the 54 remain above the 236, but we don't have the other moving averages having come up above that point as yet. In essence, that simply means that we could easily come back down, retest the 236 very easily to set up a live retracement Fibonacci looking down towards that 24.87 area, if without much resistance to that necessarily happening. And that could then form this up as like a head and shoulders, and then pushing past these points could see it coming down towards a measured move off the back of that down towards this zone of the 24s, if that were to be the case. Now, of course, what we can see here in the 4-hour time frame is that we have been moving towards the top side, and that these two lows came in, didn't have any hidden bullish divergence in them, did they? There is a touch of hidden bullish divergence here, you could say, at this low here. So that's decent to see. What did we have? But this has just been trending down the way. So let's just hide everything off of here and look at this from a pattern point of view real quick. In terms of the Bollinger Bands, you can see that we're obviously trying to test this towards the top side. It would be nice to be able to latch on here and trace it up the way, and it would also be really nice in terms of the really broad time frames to move up towards that middle level, sustain this current little bit of a turnaround that we're seeing, just this little bit of one, and go towards the top side and take out those areas, taking out our previous highs along the way and taking out that median line of the Bollinger Band. But I'm going to take it off here for now and instead go back to this and just talk about the shape that we're looking at here. As we consolidate in this range that we have, if anything, and you want to force a shape onto it, and I've got the magnetic tool enabled, so you can see, for instance, if I just we're out of time for Algorand. Cool. Well, that's cool. I'll go back to the chat in a minute if you want to get your comments in, but I'll just keep doing this for just now. You can see here, like if I just connect those two highs and extend the line out to the right, how that lends itself perfectly towards this. So we could see a pullback from this point here, if we don't kind of go for the breakout, going up towards this area and extending it to the right. So you can see how this catched on as well, sort of gives you that sanity test when you're looking at a symmetrical triangle you're drawing on. If you extend the trend line past there and just choose two early points, means that you can't kind of engage in too much subjective reasoning. So, if we then push past this point here that we're at the minute, we could go for a breakout. It would be slightly front running it. Coming back down here at this point isn't necessary. We've got necessary 1, 2, 3 touches at the bottom side already. I would like it if we did pull back the way to stay above the 236, offering up a nice buying opportunity to go up beyond those areas. That would be what I would like to see happening. Bearing in mind that fake out territory lines up perfectly here with and that is where the top of that Fibonacci is. Sorry, I bet you though it'll line up perfectly if we were to do something like this. No, it doesn't really. Well, it will be the 786. Doesn't really matter. that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Well, fake out territory really above this zone here where the 618 zone is what we're looking to. Can we push past that at 29? The 30s are going to be super positive for us if we can get there. I wouldn't be surprised to see a pullback if we went up there. This measured move does take us up to those distances though. If we can do that, let's just have to remove this extend right line thing to get the measuring stick. I'll jump back over to the chat in a second, get your comments in. That takes us past our key inflection point, and that remains here at 31, having put in a bottom hopefully over here on this 4-hour time frame between these lows that came in lower here and lower here on the on this. So that's not bullishly divergent on that low, but you could make the case that if you go back the way and then we look at towards the 24-hour time frame instead, what's it like between those two? Nope, not divergent either. So yeah, we're waiting for we're going to have to just wait for the trend to change itself around essentially. And if we continue within this zone, it wouldn't be surprising me at all. I would rather trade within this triangle than outside of it. In the meantime, let's jump on over to the chat and see what people have been saying. Thanks very much to everybody who's been joining us. Etienne, yo, bonjour, bienvenue. Comment ça va, mon ami? I hope you're doing very well. So yes, thanks very much for joining me. Also, Zai plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. 10 I plead the fifth. Yeah, cool. What do you think of Cardano? What do I think of Cardano? I think Cardano is an interesting project because they've tried to go down the academic route, and I think that it has interesting names in its ecosystem. I like the way they've named their upgrades after authors. I think it's a little bit up its own bum. I think it's too slow on a development process. That other people who are just able to innovate quicker are doing it quicker than them. And I think it's one of the stronger projects in the space. So I can see that there's definitely a couple of conflicts there when it comes to my opinion on Cardano. So the only way to draw any sort of resolution out of this is to take a look at it on the charts. Let me just get up a Cardano here instead, actually, in that box. Hopefully that shows the price. Cardano, sweet. That's the way I'll be doing this from now on, I suppose. And jump on into the charts. By the way, as well, we've also got Zoner who's speaking in there saying, take out the measuring stick. Sounds so dirty. That's funny as well. I was talking about whacking off profit-taking lines and stuff like that recently. You probably chuckled if you watched that video. Yeah, so, right, what did we say we were going to do here? Take a look at Cardano. Well, why don't we then? I probably have some old drawings on one of these charts. We'll go down the USDT route using Binance because I probably don't have too much junk on here. Yeah, there we go. Remove that crap. Cool. So, Cardano. This is the 24 hours. I've not looked at this chart in a long time, so I'm just going to go back out the way here. Starting off in the 24-hour time frame, those are highs and those are lows. I'm going to just frame the context of everything right away with a Fibonacci retracement. That we have just got the 236 on that one. Very good. That we came in here. This is lower low, so just trend behavior wise, talking about retracements against this potentially. I think as being our high. Then I will look at down to this low. Pardon me. That we came in at the, if I just hide this one, the 1618 in terms of this movement towards the top side. Interesting there. So that was not an unpredicted move in terms of a pullback on that one. Then in terms of this most recent of moves, let's just put this all into context so we can see what we think of Cardano together here, ladies and gents. By the way, if you're just joining me, I'm Rocky Outcrop. I'm going to be doing Cardano technical analysis here for the next 5 minutes. And then we're going to go back and take a look at the chat box. You can get your comments in there. If you want to hit that like button, I'd really appreciate it. I'll check out how many likes the stream has got so far here just now, actually. How many likes have we got? How many likes? Viewer activity. Oh wait, 20 likes. 20 likes. Excellent. 20 likes. That's fantastic. 19 concurrent viewers. Wow, fantastic. So we have got at least more likes than we have concurrent viewers, so I don't have to cry right now. Whew, that was close. I'm sure there's been times when it's been the other way around, but I don't have to cry just now. Great. So in terms of this one, when we came down the way, in terms of this movement up, as you can see, sort of this old classic, this old chestnut, hey, the old chestnut of a head and shoulders at a 236, where you can see your that this significant area of the neckline really got stretched down into this zone here, really, and then we broke down the way, did the measured move off of it with an inverted head and shoulders, which came back in with a neckline at the previous neckline, giving you that head and shoulders sandwich, nom 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 in here, and then we've kind of just actually done the same thing here, zooming in around about this zone. So let's say it's fair to say that this zone here, right, I have just kind of scribbled over, is crucial for the prices with regards to where we could see movements. Now, of course, being above this price point right in here at this 236 and that 382, lining up where we have this confluence of factors here is really, really good. So we can say that we are somewhat bullish, okay, so far. There's like score 1 to the bullish scenario in terms of right now where we are. It's got 1-0 just now. Okay, let's continue this on and say, well, what about this in terms of a trend towards the downside? How does that look? We've got a low, a low, a lower low. We've got a low, a lower low, a higher low. So we've got bullish divergence here. Just sanity check that. No, in fact, it's not. So I'll just undo that. Although it looks like it could have done it on a different time frame. No, no, no. 4 hour, no. Is that lower there? It is. Body's closed lower. So you could say that between these two lows here, there was some bullish divergence as part of this upward movement in that area. No, so we're not going to give another checkpoint to either side just yet in terms of that. That's fine though. What about in terms of this 4 hour time frame and this sort of channel area that we could be in? The way that this looks here, how it flagged up the way, got that final movement that came in, wasn't actually bullishly divergent, although, pardon me, I seem to have a bit of acid here. This area here was divergent, which is actually quite a nice setup there. In retrospect, we can see that that low in and of itself was divergent. Then we went out towards the top side and took this flag area out, and we can put a channel around that entire area now as a result, given the way that that lays out. So we could take in this parallel channel tool and just mess it up completely. Lol. Get it to line up here properly. Where's my lower end? There. Okay, that's not great pushing outside of it, but whatever. Maybe it'd be better to be using a pitchfork on this one. Against that move from down here. I think that's probably the way to be looking at this just now, in fact. So let's just get it on the go. The magnet tool is kind of annoying me somewhat here. It is handy to use it though, but it's annoying me a little bit. Just give just a second, girl. Alright, well that's going to be annoying. I'll check back in the chat real quick actually as well, see what people are saying, because is anybody saying anything? No, nobody's said anything, so that's cool. So let's just continue on the way. Yeah, maybe this might be interesting. That's what side is this? Original, surely. Yes, so if we go with a shift, then maybe that might give us some context. Looking at that, I'm not massively enamored with this. What about in the 24-hour time frame? How's it looking? You can see what I mean though about the bear flag incorporated into this upward sort of channel zone. Looking at these areas, it's getting tighter here though, which I'm not a massive fan of, and that's not great. A bit of an ascending triangle on the go. So instead, really, what we're looking at, instead of thinking about this just now, although movements inside this zone could easily see us going up towards 13, it's going to get rid of that. What I want to point out is that what we want to see is this be head and shoulders, an inverted head and shoulders, We want this to be an inverted head and shoulders and take this area out and get a measured move of that sort of a scope towards the top side now, and be able to move past this zone to continue this on up the way, or else we're looking at this and it's turning into an ascending triangle. So a failure which doesn't take out our head. So anything between our head and our shoulder here is going to result in a symmetrical triangle starting to emerge on the charts. Okay, so that's what you'd have to look out for, given however this lines up at any given time. And that of course gives you a couple of different sort of natures to look to in terms of movements, and it does give you the second bite of the cherry in terms of this measuring stick, more or less, in terms of movements up the way. Then your topside target gets in there towards about that 14-15 cents. What do I think of Cardano then overall? I think that it has the potential to look quite good here. We know that the overall market is on the up and that a rising tide can raise all ships. We think that Cardano has been crap for the longest time. In terms of this last few months, it's been towards the downside, as you can see there. The weekly candles, not being so great, but from back at this point over here, it's been pretty good. Most of that analysis really happened looking at the sort of the weekly and daily and longer term time frames, really. So my overall assessment of it is good, but it boils down quite neatly onto this line where the 236 is, and then really it's like 10 cents and above good, 10 cents and below bad, 11 cents right now. Therefore, I'm going to side with good. Coming back over to the chat box. Nobody else has got any chat in there. That's cool. Gives me a second to have a drink of water. And I have a timer here, so I can just use this timer to help anybody who's flicking through the video. I'm just going to give it 30 seconds at this point. If anybody wants to get in touch and leave a comment in there, then I'll give you a wee shout out and all that. So thanks very much to everybody. Oh, cool. There's Andrew Castro. Excellent to see you, matey. Fantastic. It's tea time with Rocky. No tea, that's fine. Have coffee. Brilliant. Well, here we are, and I'm having a glass of water, actually. I'm just going with the old healthy water there. Thank you. Okay, sweet. So anybody have any other coins that they want to take a look at? We've done Algorand and we've done Cardano now. There was another suggestion that came in from TradeSpotting. Polkadot. Been a wee while since I've looked at Polkadot, so I'm going to bring that up onto the screen just now and then go on over and take a quick look at the Pokidoki Woki Wotties. Have I got it on my saved list? I think I do. But I'm going to have to clean this up. Actually, I'm in the process of cleaning this up at the minute. You can't see it because it's behind the chat box, so I don't need to be too worried about scrolling around on that thing forever and never getting anywhere and looking like a fool. Don't need to worry about that because you couldn't see that at all. Let's go for another one of these Binance USDT ones. Pretty good bet that I don't have any drawings on this chart, and I don't. And that's cool. Let's take a quick look. Let's give this 5 minutes or less. I don't want to spend forever on this one, but get all your comments in, by the way. XRP says trade spotting, so maybe we'll take a look at that. I'll just have a quick look here. Oh, XRP did also say to somebody that we would look at that during the show. Less than 5 minutes here on this one. I just want to do a couple of quick fibs and stuff like that and kind of put a little bit of context on here. You'll notice, by the way, that I've got rid of a lot of the numbers off my fibs and stuff just to look at things. I'm not even looking at where 618 is. I've just left the golden pocket line on there for now. As you can see here, if I did have the 618, that these bottoms here came in and would have touched that, which is probably a good idea to have it on the chart then, don't you think? But look how that lines up. So yeah, but this makes it just a little bit briefer in terms of this is where we are right now. When we take out this zone here, if I just put a little line in there, that is our topside target for right now, probably. Going to remove that. Then I'm going to put on another fib going down the way this time from that high down to the low over here. And say that, yes, as long as we're above this area, we're pretty good. And that'll be our current sort of range to look to. So I could draw a channel in around that zone and get rid of the rest of it. So we're going to look between here, which is at the very top end of which is a 618 golden pocket. And down here at the bottom end is the 236, which is what we're going to look to for now to say that we have got 2 areas to be aware of. Now, it's not a surprise to me that when I look up the way and draw a Fibonacci on, that in this area right here when I draw Fibonacci going up that way, that the 236 for it lines up right there. Then on this movement down the way, the 618 lines up right there. Getting that overlap on top of the 2 Fibonacci's, giving you that confluence right in there. Fair to say that that's going to be a crucial point for us. If we see the prices going above 572, then perhaps the party starts. Now, it's not necessarily just going up in there and having a wee breather like a dolphin before slipping back down underneath the surface to not be seen again for another few hours or whatever. No, what we're talking about here is actually opening and closing up above that area. Movements up towards that we're going to consider to be within this parallel channel. Now, what we've seen it happening in price action today is this key middle ground area be taken out. I've gone for this sort of classy looking. I tried to make it kind of classier with sort of blue and yellowy regal. Maybe it should be orange there with my parallel channel. But anyway, as long as we're above this serrated line here, actually you can see is a big support zone in the past. Flipped, became resistance here, and now, was resistance for a couple of days this week. Then we banged on past it. That is going to have to be our support currently. So we've got 3 targets to really look to, and that comes in at 570, 5, and the lower side here at 430. So we're talking, 70 cents up, 70 cents down, and this area right now where we are in the middle. So we don't have, in terms of this particular chart, like a really stellar buying opportunity right now with regards to this chart. Maybe we can have a look at a smaller time frame one and see how we're coming in, shaping up with this one. Well, we've done this high recently without divergence. That's good to see. Going back the way we've done really quite well. We actually managed to slot it in here and then get a bit of a pullback without coming up high enough on the RSI to cause, or have I spoken too soon? Any issue? No, it has. But at the same time, right, okay, so you could try and force an argument onto this about being hidden bearish divergence. It's not, because we're talking about different time, a long time ago to now in terms of it is and it isn't. I mean, this is the 4-hour time frame. It could be, but we're actually doing really well here with regards to this movement up the way, and we just kind of came into the overbought zone for the first time in its lifetime on this particular chart, and that's good to see. We got rejected on our first try. Sure, fair enough. We have plenty of inflection in this zone just over here. I want to see if we dip into it be sustained and us get the chance to kind of move back up the way again. Whoops, accidentally went off that. Wanted to draw a kind of liquidity box type effort in here. I want to see us staying above this now, in terms of a swing failure on the RSI. And that'll line up nicely with this one. Your best entries coming in at around about that $5, going in for a higher low overall. Currently, with the way that this shapes up, we don't want it to see it doing that and then dying off. Reset that. We don't want to see that doing it and dying off thereafter. And this idea here taking more shape where we have sort of the potential for sort of wedginess on the go. We don't want to have any of that happen and get a downward movement. But if we do, this is the range that we're looking to, the big sense, and that really is our go get excited moment number there at 570. If we don't push past that and pull back down the way, that's cool. We're looking for support into this line, resistance comes support at that point, squeezing it out the way. If we get an ascending triangle in here, all the better, and consolidate at a support level or resistance level before banging on up the way, that'd be cool. But our 3 targets have to remain as those 3 just there until such times as we were talking about the picture changing, right? And that's what we're looking at with Polkadot's at the minute with regards to this chart and that TA story. Of course, there's a million different ways of doing TA. One of the things I didn't look at in this section, which I looked at in the previous ones, were Bollinger Bands, for instance. I also didn't have the moving averages up here, for instance. So lots of things that you could look at any given time. This is a taster here, and doing that for Polkadot. Hopes that gives people some ideas. Excellent, nice one. I'm going to jump back over to the chat again. I'll give this another minute, and then we'll go and check out another chart. I'll put a minute and 30 in this time. Somebody come along and suggest. One of the viewers suggest a chart, or I'm going with XRP actually, which has already been suggested there. I'll probably end up going with that anyway in a minute and 30 seconds. But if anybody wants another one, then I could do two at once or whatever. That's all cool. By the way, everybody, if you want to donate to the channel and all that, you can at this particular Bitcoin address over here. That's obviously gratefully accepted by myself. There's also the super chat function if you want to use that. I don't have the tip jar thing. If anybody knows much about live streams with OBS and can help me get it set up with a sort of Mitch Ray tip jar thing, that'd be cool. You can do that. Let's look at the chat. So first off, Zoner, Polkadot 12% staking reward, winky face. Well, there we go. 12% staking reward. That's marvelous. It really is. It's interesting sometimes when you think about these things in terms of staking rewards and moves that you get, you know, from this lower end here of this wedge up to the higher end here of the wedge, you're looking at a 19% move. Actually, it's, you know, that's just the wedge. The prices itself went a little bit further. So you're getting your entire year's worth of staking in one good trade, which to me, sometimes makes me think, well, people who find that that's an idea is appealing, then why don't they just do that, you know? Why not? Why don't they just do it? What's the Celsius... Dude, man, what's the Celsius ticker so that I can take a look at it? I'm pretty sure I should know that one off the top of my head, but let's just... I mean, I don't, and I'm thinking about the live stream. So, yeah, Polkadot, 12% staking rewards, really, really good. You can get 12% moves frequently anyway. Sell. Sweet. Okay, and I'm going to assume that you want to see it versus USD as well. Any thoughts on Celsius? Yes, we'll take a look at that in a second. TL, by the way, good to see you. Glad to have you here. And, somebody else wanted to look at YFI earlier on. I'm sure you'd be interested in that too. Let's just jump back over, since we've been here for a wee while, and take a look at Bitcoin. And in fact, I'm going to stick Bitcoin here into the ticker so that people can always see the Bitcoin price as we're looking at other charts really for now, so you don't run so you don't find yourself having to run away off and check your charts if you are looking to find out what the price is. So there you have it on the screen, nice and easy to read. Cool, nice one. So and I don't even need to have it quite so big. I could just pop it over there like that. Whatever. I don't know. Cool. Right. So Celsius. Let's see if it is. You said sell. We'll take a look at the USD pair. Sell. Oozed. Did you ever watch Hit BTC, where everyone likes to chart? So yeah, I mean, this is an interesting one though. You can tell when you're looking at it that there's a degree of a low liquidity here on this. I mean, if I just jump down to the 50-minute candles, this will give you a good example as well. Low liquidity. I mean, look at this. How often do you see charts that look just like that? Not every day, you know, unless you're in crypto. In which case, you probably do see charts that look somewhat like this every day. I don't know if there's another ticker for this somewhere else that's got better volume, but if this is all it is, then this is all it is, and here we are, and we'll work with it. And that's cool, but I'm obviously not going to look at things on a small time frame. I'll have a quick look at this 4-hour one, because at least it looks reasonable. And we are trending hard towards the top side. Whoa, yeah, that's been good. When did this start here? November, October, this thing's been an uptrend. It's basically its entire life. That is weird for an altcoin, isn't it? Well, wish I'd paid more attention to this one across the episodes and whatnot. Good to have. Who was it that shouted this out? Dude, man. I would do more day trading over staking if I had more confidence in my analysis skill. That's why I'm here, Rocky. Well, man, you're going to get really good analysis skills from watching this channel over a period of time, no problem. I mean, I've no doubt that you are aware of all the other different people out there on YouTube that are doing stuff currently, so you probably get quite exposed to quite a lot of it anyway, and I do try to make this channel fit in quite nicely with everything else that's out there in terms of what you're likely to get exposed to, in terms of what I think is good and everything else, and I have confidence that this will help you, so that's good. You come to the right place. Cheers. Right, so always had this uptrend, right? We've always had this uptrend, and let's just jump up to the 24-hour time frame because that's a headache looking at it on the other one. Let's draw in a Fibonacci from its low, wherever that actually was, up to its high, just to have everything in context. Now, given this has always been in an uptrend, it's not like we are going to get much comparison points here. Clearly always just breaking through the 236. We could do it stage by stage though, in a way, you know, like looking at this and saying how has it performed over time, right? So let's just start off that way, since we're doing an analysis of a coin that's relatively young. It's less than a year old, or it's about a year old. Maybe it's a year old. It's a year old now. So let's take a look at its first year, and let me just put some more of these options on here so that people can see a bit more of the old classic Fibonacci shit. Right, so up to there, down to 236, hit the 382, found support, and went up the way. We did have wicks that came down as far as the 50%, but we went up the way, up towards the next area. Ultimate next high was that one, let's call it, and then we went down to the 236, down as far as the 50%, actually all the way down there, retraced a big chunk. Then but if we conclude that wick, we came all the way down, almost 100% retrace. In terms of the bodies, we did the almost 100% as well, 886. Anyway, then it was a bit of a malaise for a while, and eventually we came up towards the top side, and that wick saw us being resisted by the 236 and coming in for a 50% retrace. In terms of going to the bodies, then we're looking at the 236 being important yet again. Up at this area, 236, clear point of control here in terms of this range that we were in, breaking above it, then also clearly important thereafter. So I think it's looking like at the minute that when this thing goes up, because it's always been in an uptrend and everything else, it doesn't very much like to break the 236. And if it does, well then it'll do a 382 and maybe wick down to the 50% and back up. And it really depends how you're trading this. Obviously, in terms of its lower liquidity, and that means that you get these bigger movements from time to time. Then what you're going to find is that you have these kind of liquidity issues, and it can get spikes and wicks that really could come in and screw you right over. So I can imagine if you're using leverage trading, I don't know if HitBTC even offers that, but if you're just trading this on spot and you're looking to ride out areas, there's going to be sweaty pants time, sort of squeaky bum time from time to time, as we see that these wicks are killing people one way or the other. We're seeing that this has an upward side wick, and it was green candle, and then we did see upward price action thereafter, red candle, downward wick, massive rejection. They were both rejections, you know, ultimately, but then this went up and this went down, rejection, and went on up, rejection, down, then up, rejection this side from the downward movement, rejection this side from the downward movement. So at this point here, we start to see, well, I suppose this is your first one really, but we start to see that there's this sort of buyer, have I got the timer running? I hope I have. I have. No, I haven't. Crap. Meant to have that running. Let's give it 2 minutes. I'm not very good with this thing, am I? Yeah. Then you can see that we start to have this sort of thing. And when people say that line of, yes, it dips, but the dips just keep getting bought up, this is one of those few examples, really, where you actually do have that as being quite something that you can point to, and you can say, well, yes, you know, they do seem to get bought up, as we can see here. Unlike what people talk about in the rest of the world, where they talk about dips getting bought up. I mean, yes, sure, we know that that's been the case in terms of this uptrend, but it's not as fair a statement to make, you know, because the comparison point really in terms of Bitcoin is like looking at this sort of an event over here where you get one of these wicks and then it gets bought back up and then you're moving then thereafter. And, well, we frankly just don't see that on Bitcoin very often. Whereas we're seeing it on that Celsius one. So let's drag this on up then to the top end and take an analysis. Now, as a result of where we've come today, this is a big wick. It's been sold down. Is that going to end up being one of those rejection wick things? If this comes in as being that we end up analysing it from the body point of view and we want to see it staying above the 236, we want to see it staying above 162, really, to be kind of confident about this one. Drawing that into where that actually stands at, then we're really, you know, we're 174. But that 174 down to 162 area is what we're going to look to in terms of support if we need it. Top side coming in there at 286 is what we've really just seen today. Actually 229, sorry, I said that wrong, 229 in terms of its top side today. Things looking bullish on this one. Bit of bearish divergence though. We've had that rejection wick. Feel like we could get a retrace at this point. Myself personally, I wouldn't be surprised to see this coming back down to that 174 area. Obviously, you know, it could find support at some point along the way. We're not seeing hidden bullish divergence really. we're not seeing hidden bullish divergence there. There is regular bearish divergence. We have got that rejection on that candle. We've seen this happen in the past several times. Okay, this worked out fairly well, good timing wise for that last 2 minutes. We've seen this happen in the past with this one, so that high was being sold into quite heavily. I want to see us then being able to actually, take out in terms of body closing the 215 area. If we don't do that, I can actually then say that I would be, willing to take low risk management moves towards the downside here for potential gains. Of course, this is an uptrend. I'm not talking about how I would then trade this all the way down to zero, but I am saying that at any given time we can see these things happen where we get this type of a wick action on the go. And if we came down towards that 175, there is always even the chance that you could visit 142 and then take out our previous highs. So if we're going to be coming in here and saying that there's a specific area to look to, let's call it 215 cents, $2.15 in terms of needing that to be our pivot. I'm going to join back in with the chat for a minute or two here, ladies and gents. I'll give this another minute here on the old timer. If you are having a good time, let me know. If you're in the stream right now and you haven't hit that like button, do it. It'd be quality to see how many likes we can get on this stream. Wouldn't it be fantastic to see that the community grew as a result of doing it? Because everybody that's joined us so far has been here before, as far as I'm aware. So that's cool. Let's do start here. Right, so I would do more day trading over staking if I had confidence in my analysis skills. That's why I'm here. Rocky, thanks for that, dude, man. And then TL says, Rocky is the one then. He isn't a moon boy. He looks rationally and tells you what he's looking at and what he's looking to see and what things he's looking to happen. Yeah, cool. I think we just did that there now. Thanks very much, TL, for that comment. Dude, man, would Cell being a utility token for Celsius Network cause you to trade it different from other tokens? Frankly, at the minute, no, not really. I'd still probably, let me just stop this timer because it's kind of stupid. I would still trade things based primarily on their technicals anyway. The fact that it's a utility token for the Celsius network is a little bit kind of interesting for me. In a sense, I kind of wonder how those will go. Presumably their network is in demand. I would maybe then trade it slightly differently in that there is something fundamental to look to, and that you can look at the performance of the Celsius network and its kind of activity and whatnot, and you might be able to make assessments off of it. So in a sense, maybe I'd look at towards fundamentals a little bit differently. And yeah, like things like in terms of the long-term health of a project, I do find that having a 2-coin tokenomic system is a good one. Currently, of course, we're yet to see the proof of the pudding of that. It does make things, twice as much in terms of management for people. But then on the other hand, oh, by the way, hi, Bruno. Thanks so much for joining us. That's really great to have you here. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Leave a comment, anything. Look forward to reading them all out. But yeah, having 2 tokens, we're waiting to see how the proof will be in the pudding, of course. I think that people will be able to understand the difference between the utility and the sort of the underlying token itself. I feel a little bit like Ethereum's main use case is to pay for transactions on the Ethereum network now. That's what it's advanced to. That's what it's evolving towards, is becoming a gas. So there's a self-cannibalistic aspect that happens towards tokens which operate as a platform. So having a 2-token coin system could be good, although you got to wonder if that's exactly how that works. I mean, we're seeing that with VeChain and VeThor and stuff like that. It does separate out the dynamics between the demand of the network and the coin itself, and makes it an interesting case for staking and being a stakeholder in terms of the value of the network. Cool. Anybody else want to leave comments? Then I will be reading them here in a second. I'm going to read the comment here from WallQ and Bruno, and then I'm going to take a look at XRP. That's right, XRP, everybody. Thanks so much to Jamie TradeSpotting who suggested that one earlier on, and the other people who suggested it earlier on as well, but it's just, we'll be taking a look at that in a minute. I'll change the ticker over to XRP. No, I'll not. I'll leave it on Bitcoin. Cool. Anyway, yeah, give me comments in there and I'll read them. Looking forward to reading them. And I'll go over to the chart in just a second to take a look at XRP. So, cool. What did WallQ say? Don't think TA takes into account any factor from the fundamental analysis. Doesn't really matter if it's deflationary or something, in my opinion. Yeah, exactly. That's it. I'm still going to always use the TA, so I don't need to necessarily look at what really it's all about. Most of the stuff will be kind of end up being baked into the TA anyway, and that's pretty cool. I mean, it's quite nice to see Celsius at the minute trying to go higher than its previous wick. This is what we're going to be looking at over the next wee while. Looking for closes at 215. Bearing in mind that whatever we do get will be bearishly divergent. Asking the question, can we get enough rocket fuel in amongst this to go on up before having to touch this area at the minute? Most likely, look aspect on this to me, what it looks like in terms of the low risk management trade area to be is here, and it's a battle of patience. But of course, I could rapidly change my opinion with movements up past that zone. Yeah, I would just trade things. So, like, I don't really know. I don't really care so much. This is what the analysis would be, and that's what I would look at, regardless of what actually turned out to happen or what the fundamentals said. Although I do look at fundamentals from time to time, I just kind of, generally speaking, think that if you're going to be trading in crypto and using fundamentals, you're going to go wrong more than you're going to go right. It's better to use fundamentals as a sort of veto. That's a really good idea for a coin, but I'm not going to get involved in it because it's being released by John McAfee and he's going to go to jail in America for tax evasion or whatever. Like, there you go, fundamentals, right? But if you're looking at it, so a veto. But if you're looking at it and saying, oh, this is really good coin because it's got these particular fundamental aspects about it, well, how long does that last for? And which is one of the reasons why people have got a feeling of negativity towards Tezos, for instance, in my opinion, because it's been around since 2017 and we've not seen it do anything in terms of, like, really game-changing technology. Well, we've seen that coming out with regards to other platforms that have been around in a similar period of time or even significantly less, such as all of the DeFi coins that we've seen recently released backed on other networks. So, there's issues there. But that is offset by the fact that what you've got here is a coin which is traded on Forex platforms, really, really good, which is, tradable, highly tradable, the way that it works, which is really, really good. Consistent in terms of its value proposition and its ability to achieve goals that it sets for itself, stuff like that. Celsius 223 looking pretty good right now, looking pretty good. This is when it looks good. There's like a 10-cent move here where it goes from looking good to looking bad, in this particular zone. So yeah, that kind of is all the chat that I have about that at the minute. And and that's all the chat that's in the chat box. So again, anyone viewing along, leave some chit chat. I'll get around to reading that in 5 minutes. Let's do, though, 5 minutes of XRP. So we're going to be looking at XRP now for the next 5 minutes, ladies and gents. Just trying to find that on my list of stuff here. We've got XRP versus Bitcoin, XRP versus dollar coin. Let's look at it versus the dollar coin, and we can just kind of get rid of these old bits of technical analysis, really. What we've seen here has been fantastic. The price action for XRP recently bringing us up towards 32. Oh, fantastic. It's actually gone up almost another 10% in the last day, 5.5%, but over the last couple of days, we're looking at a nice solid 10% move up. It was 29 cents a couple of days ago, if I remember correctly, and indeed it was, and that's a nice movement towards the top side. Finding resistance in here where we saw our two previous highs, definitely set up nicely for the question to be asked while we're in this zone here, right? Looking at this is where our two previous body closes were, and this is where the price is just above right now. While we're above this zone, we're going to be bearishly divergent. Pullbacks down below 31, or actually, to be honest with you, pullbacks below 31.78. So just, half a cent down from where we are now would see us avoiding that divergence and giving us a pretty solid chance of coming in and pushing on past those areas in the near future. So that's a slightly counterintuitive viewpoint. Looking back over to the left and seeing on this particular chart how this area was also kind of significant, historically. This is a big deal for us. What chart am I on? BitMEX. BitMEX for XRP. I don't want that one. What one's this? Come on, tell me. Binance. Let's take a look at Binance because it's got different levels on it, right? Yeah. Much better. Ultimately, we found support in it about that line over to the right and moved up the way. That's good to see. Everything's going along quite well with this coin. There is the chance that we have a continuation pattern come in here. So if this is an upward trend, let's be aware that there's a chance then if this section here is considered an upward trend, and therefore we can say that that is the prior trend. You know, if you want to, when we're in this section of price action, then this became prior to this, which was a downward trend, right, at that point there. And then what we had here was a rounding off of the price action. Let me just check the volume as well during that period. Oh, and lovely, hand in hand with that, as you'd want to see, a basin happening in the volume. And then you have this triple peak, but really let's call it a twin peak between these 2 points here, as we came in and put in this one, which was a bearishly divergent. It was a bearishly divergent top at that point. Then, while we're also in the middle, about to put in a bearishly divergent top just now, this is a perfect setup for a cup with handle. Now, this doesn't have to happen, but this is the perfect setup for one overall. There's a few things that we could say before we want to get into that. What we could say is that there was potential for like a bump and run style pattern here, where we had this lead in, then this period of, you know, with this drop down. It looks quite perfect, really. We got the bump down here, came up, then we ran. That's perfect. They often go hand in hand with cups with handle anyway, so that's good to see overall. Although that would be a slight naysayer against this, where we could potentially push on up the way, finding resistance in at this zone here then, and going back down the way thereafter. Could see a retrace coming in there at the cup with handle type areas to look out for, just taking off the irrelevant ones from that Fibonacci for us so that you don't get too distracted. Actually, I'll leave the 1618 on there because we can talk about that as the alternative story. The 1618, up there, not the alternative story, but it's the alternative. It's the future story. What we would see here is the potential for a movement that comes in. Maybe I should have the one line in just so you can see where the top would be. You see, so if this is our twin peak and we get a basin coming in, then you would expect to see potentially a cup with handle operating something along these lines, you know, where we could be looking into 28, for instance, or even as low as 27.5. We could be looking down to 28 or 27.5 potentially with this thing if we see a cup with handle forming in this area. It is the perfect setup in terms of volume. Check. Volume. Wow, that's some bad handwriting. Check. Shape. Check. Okay, time's run out on this one, but we've done our analysis now for it anyway. So great, perfect setup for a potential cup with handle to do a continuation move off of where we were before. And there's a couple of ways of looking at this in terms of a measured move. You can take it from doing these sorts of things here, and let's do two of these then. Two of these then to talk about how we could be looking at measuring this. You know, for instance, we could be talking about going up towards this target up here at 44, or what could also be a very reasonable target would be the 39 level, where we have the 1618 of the cup section before we put in the handle thereafter. And bearing in mind then that if we do go into a handle here, so this is three speculative moving parts here coming together to talk about this at the one time. If we did this and we went down as far as this level over here before turning around, what would we be hoping to see in terms of breaking past certain zones? And those would be these two levels, for instance, here. So the 236 lines up perfectly with the 618. This is what you would expect, but this is how things so often happen. So if we did it from right where we are now, that's where this top line comes in at, with this, on the Fibonacci, down to towards where the 50% retrace point would be at on this other Fibonacci from before and then went back up to the 236, that would line up perfectly with the 618 of that other Fibonacci, which then we would then subsequently need to take out the 618 of this Fibonacci. I'm talking about this this pink one, of the pink one here. We need to take out the 618 before we can start looking towards that. So then this would be your next future targets thereafter. If we went down to one of those, we'd have to be then 29 again thereafter, and 30 to 31. I know you can't read that. 31, 30 to 31 in terms of your next targets. Do that, and then your next target happily becomes 35, and then happily becomes 40 thereafter. Bing, bong, job's a good in. That's the TA for whatchamacallem done, XRP. So I'll jump back over to the chat now for a wee while, see how everybody's doing. If anybody wants to have more TA for anything else. We're at this for 2.5 hours now, my word. Let me just check in with the stats. Concurrent viewers, 21, 26 likes, fantastic. We've got a couple more viewers, got a couple more likes. If we could get a couple more likes, that would be super awesome. And as well, thanks to everybody who is concurrently viewing this stuff. Yeah, cool. So we've been out for 2.5 hours. Will we do any more? Yeah, we probably will, but I could easily see myself tuning out now and going and having a cup of tea soon. So I'm going to move the screen back over to Bitcoin and come back to where we started at. Bearing in mind then it's been 2.5 hours, so we can actually see some changes on these charts since we tuned in. Now, so we had this area, we talk about this as being the shark attack zone. We saw prices go down as low as 18.425 before coming towards the top side. We have this area here. What do we want to consider? Did we already talk about this in terms of the fib moves and where this would be if it was a 236? Just to know. Did we talk about that yet? Because that's quite obvious, isn't it? Pardon me. Anyway, 18,400 is our key area for Bitcoin. 18400 is our key area for Bitcoin for the downside, and for the top side, what we have is, let's call it 18,888. That's what we'll call the top side, all the eights, and the reason for that is because if we go past this zone, then we have moved it outside of shark-infested waters. If we come down past this zone, then it looks like we're going to be delving deeper into these shark-infected waters, and we could be looking down to numerous different points of contact for us to be looking at. So yeah, so anyway, jumping back over to the chat, get your chat in, everybody. Looking forward to seeing what everybody has to say as well, because let's have a wee get to know each other session for a second. Right, let's do it. Oh, by the way, Ross, welcome to the stream. I see you've joined us there, left a comment in there. Thanks so much. Hit that like button, buddy. Yeah, I did look at Tezos earlier on in the show, and you'll be able to find that, because what I've been doing is using a timer to kind of go between different sections. So for the next 3 minutes, I'll be looking at chit chat. You should make it easier for you whenever you're kind of scrolling through the video, if that is a help, of course, as well. I did try and have the tickers on the screen. I was trying a couple of different things, and ultimately I've just gone back to having Bitcoin down there. But I think when I was doing Tezos, I had Tezos on screen down at the bottom there, you know, down here where I've got that ticker in at, down the bottom there. So you can check that out. Cool, nice one. Jumping into the chat, leave your messages in there. Let me know what you're saying. I am looking forward to reading them massively, and having a little break here from doing the TA for a second, because all the pressure's on me, yo. In fact, as well, let me know, everybody, if at one point you want to have me kick my phone off of the thingy and screw everything up. Let me know if you want that. I can always do that again, no problem. Also, let me know if you ever want to come on the show, okay? That's something that you might want. I'm organising something with TradeSpotting in the background, so you'll be able to see his beautifully dashing face at some point in the near future, but let me know. Anyway, going to spend the next 1 minute and 52 seconds looking at the comments, and yeah, just bear that in mind. You could always get on the show here and be a voice for people to hear. Let us know what your thoughts are. Maybe do a phone-in style thing at some point using the Discord. How about that? So, yeah, cool. Nice one. Going back up. Bruno says, finally home. Hello. Yes. Well, benvenuto al homo or whatever. Casa, I guess. I've got no idea what it is in Italian, and I'm going to assume that you are because of that name. What's up, Bruno? Said TL. XRP seems shady fundamentally to me, says Zoner. Absolutely, it is shady AF. That's right. Yeah, cool. Is it any more shady than a lot of the other ones? Not necessarily. I mean, things like Tron are a bit more shady, right? I mean, I don't know. BitTorrent token is clearly shadier than any of them. What with it being sort of directly related to piracy, right? But then who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But I do wonder about these things. So Bruno responds, says, not much, currently only have a 0x waiting to buy Bitcoin whenever it drops. Cool, maybe we could take a look at 0x then. It's been a while since I've looked at that. Anyone else have dreams of crypto prices going up and going down? Then you wake up like, I gotta buy or sell. In the dream, it will show the spread and I'll see the price going up or down and have to. Yeah, I don't have dreams like that now, right? But I totally get what you mean, and I have dreams about technical analysis in general. But I don't have them so much where I'm looking at the chart, or looking at the price, or even necessarily the spread and the price. It'd be probably more complex than that, to be perfectly honest with you. And I'd be looking at more than just that. I have dreams about technical analysis. I do imaginary charting in my dreams, though. Yeah, sure, of course I do. Happens a lot, actually. How's it going, Rocky? Better late than never. That was Ross coming in with that comment. Cheers, buddy. Thanks so much. He's a big guy in the XTZ world, by the way, if anybody's interested. That is, of course, Tezos. I was reading up on this recently, by the way, with regards to Tezos and what I should be calling things. I should be saying Tez every time I say, so what is the price of Tez, right? Because Tezos is like the network, and the coin which has the ticker XTZ, is called Tez. So what is the price of Tez? So yeah, I know that, and I knew that anyway, but the chances of me ever doing that are pretty damn slim. I'd probably be more likely to go along your sorts of lines and call them Tezzies. Ross, by the way. Anyway, wake up to check, says TL. So yeah, this is more of a story. Cool, nice one. So then you have to wake up to check the prices. Have you done Ethereum? If so, I'll rewind after. Yes, buddy, I did Ethereum. Ethereum was the second the coin that I looked at. By the way, the order of the coins so far, for anybody who wants to scroll around and is in this particular section of the video, is that we started with Bitcoin, looked at it in the negative case, then looked at it in the positive case, then we looked at Ethereum, including, in fact, Ethereum Bitcoin for the final minute of that section. Then we went on to look at Chainlink, right? Then we looked at Ren. Then we looked at Tezos. Then we looked at Celsius. And we might have looked at other ones. Polkadot. We looked at Polkadot at some point in there as well. Can't remember. Anyway, cool. Yeah. Then more chat from TL. I was enjoying reading that story. Haha, TL says TradeSpot. Yeah, I was enjoying reading that too. So, you are still sleeping? I gave that up a few years back. Good one. It sucks, man, because I don't sleep good because of it. Yeah, there you go. Whoop whoop, can't wait to join our glorious leader. Yeah, cool. Way. That's great. That's TradeSpot referring to coming on the show at some point. TL, it wakes up because in my dream I see the price hit support. Then I wake up to check and I'm like, geez, it was just a dream. It wakes me up. Yeah. I get it. I get it. Yeah, I get it. Means you're probably suffering from anxiety the rest of the time. Yeah, I really don't like it, of course. Yeah, so it's like, even if it's positive, even if you're sleeping there and you're dreaming about it going to 100,000 on some long on Bitcoin you had, for instance, or whatever, you would still end up sleeping crap, wouldn't you? Because you'd be excited and happy watching it. Either way, it's not good. I prefer that FOMO-free approach. If I'm dreaming and I'm looking at a coin and I'm thinking it's doing well, it tends not to wake me up with anxiety about it. Instead, I just dream and go, oh, yeah. That's cool. Know what I'm looking at here. Oh, there's an opportunity. Well, if I was at my trading station, I could do it, but I'm not right now because I'm on a pink fluffy cloud with a young Pamela Anderson. I don't know. Anyway, right. So just to say, there's a hell of a lot to come on Tezos, guys. Yeah, okay, cool, totally. There's a hell of a lot to come with Tezos. I think so as well. I think it's a dark horse, right? Been talking about it like it's a dark horse. I also quite like the way that it isn't correlated. directly, unless you want to talk about it being negative, to the Bitcoin and Ethereum prices. It's always good to have that, and that's what we want to have, right? If we're going to have a 20 different top cryptocurrencies at any given time, then what we're going to want to see is some differences between the way that they're priced, right? And Tezos, I think, has got a really good chance of doing that, just like Chainlink, and mixing up the top instead of it being this boring hand-in-hand thing. Can you remember for so long it was just Bitcoin Cash, Tezos, or Bitcoin Cash, Chainlink, no, Lightchain, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin. As you can see, I'm clearly forgetting how to speak here. Litecoin, Bitcoin, and all the rest of it, and they'd all be doing the same thing. And then you'd have like XRP, and then like your man said earlier on, Zoner said the fundamentals are a bit sketchy on that anyway, and of course it crashed down, lost all its value, and never really got any of it back until now. This is it, big time. Wow, oh my god, right now. But we just discussed that there. Really good, interesting look at what could potentially happen for a cup with handle, if anybody's interested. Trade spotting then comes along to say, I am pretty convinced big moves and tectonic waves through my intestines that wake me up. Right, cool. Yeah, I'm pretty convinced big moves send tectonic waves through my intestines that wake me up. So Jimmy is able to be woken up with a sort of clairvoyant connection during his sleep with the actual real-life prices. He must have a sort of Chainlink dream oracle feeding that information through to his stomach, and that wakes him up. So he doesn't need it. It doesn't. It's not fake ones that wake him up. It's real ones that wake him up. Next one. TL then says, "Lol, those dreams will come to me when I get more experienced. Right now, I'm simple. Just have to price and spread dreams." Yeah. Then Nav comes back in here and says, "Lamau." Yeah, totally. Great chat. Excellent. Yeah, I mean, I was looking forward to... Yeah, I was looking forward to reading through it. Nice one. It's good to have some fun chat with everybody. Stick some more chat in there. Because I think there was maybe something that we said we would look at and I didn't look at, or something like that. And I didn't need to tune out right away or anything. I want to keep us going here. There's little things that we could talk about, I suppose, for a wee while. And yeah, we could talk about something for a couple of minutes. Let's stick on a timer again here and do 5 minutes of looking at random stuff here on the charts and kind of having a bit of discussion about things. Like we have Ethereum 2.0 coming up, and I'm curious at the minute about whatchamacall them. I've got two Fibonacci's here that have just immediately confused me. They obviously both extend to the right. And are overlapping each other. Anyway, Ethereum 2.0 coming along, and I'm kind of wondering a wee bit what we'll end up seeing happening here with regards to Ethereum Classic. Do I like that, including that in there? Probably not. Probably more going to be a body man for this one. Then up the way here, I kind of wonder, do we see something interesting happen with Ethereum Classic soon or not? Because at the minute, what we're looking at here is Ethereum the not classic version, the normal Ethereum, going to be releasing that 2.0 Ethereum thing and eventually move into being a fully proof of stake, at which point, as we were discussing in the Discord recently, Ethereum Classic would inherit that proof of work crown from a lot of those people. Now, that's not to say that they couldn't dedicate their efforts towards mining some other coin, but there is a sort of nice little potential here for Ethereum Classic, what with its interoperability between the two chains. So that's interesting. Wakes up, pulls out measuring stick. Funny, Zoner. Yeah, so what is your highlight? What's your highlight platform of the moment besides ETH and Bitcoin? My highlight platform of the moment. Well, I mean, it has got to be that thing, that I forgot to talk about, which we can talk about just now. It's Edgewater. It's got to be Edgewater. That's right, Edgewater. No, not what Edgewater. What am I saying? Not Edgewater. But let's go for this one. This is whatever, calculated by TradingView, whatever. It's got to be this, right? I mean, this is so interesting. YFI. It's is it the sort of throwing a bunch of crap against the wall, seeing what sticks thing? Is it like the survival of the fittest effect with DeFi? Is that what we could be looking at? That this is the survival of the fittest, and that we've got the daddy of DeFi joining us here forever with its amazing, totally not a pyramid scheme thing, or not. I am curious about that. Currently going to remain bullish on this under a number of situations staying in place. But I am also thinking that this would massively be impacted by any shockwaves that go through the market. It does seem to be far more volatile in that sense. So any big pullback in Bitcoin or Ethereum, and I think I would get this thing would start to look pretty awful as well in comparison. I think it would probably look even worse than those two if it did actually see some sort of big pullback in the main caps. So that there's a couple, but I would stay bullish on it really essentially as long as we're above that 24k area. Sticking a couple of other things onto the charts here so that you can have a look at them. Of course, this is the 15-minute chart here. It's mostly bullshit, but I'm staying bullish on this in terms of what we're looking at just now, I suppose. So long as we're above there, and you can see the smaller term moving averages lining up about that. Let's make the 50 and 200 visible on the charts here. And do they even show up? Yeah, they do. They show up. That's good. Golden cross over here, but at some point I would expect us to come in and test the 50. At some point, it's going to happen. Now, whether this comes all the way up towards this 24k area or not before it gets a test of it, it's going to happen at some point. These things always do. So, yes, at some point. Shall we take a look at this real quick on Bitcoin, by the way, so that people can have a look at this? We might as well take a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart as well here. Looks like I've got some drawings on here that I've kind of forgotten about. What was this? What was this, chat? That's those two prices, 1888 and 18400. Yeah, cool. I can leave that there for now. So what we're seeing is that the 50 simple moving average is coming in there at that 1618 Fibonacci point. On the retracement from the downward move that came in on the 6th of November down towards the 7th of November, where the 1618 is lining up with that at that moment in time, and that's on this retracement down here after the first move up, the initial sort of thing towards the top side. Coming in then with regards to this other sort of key support pivot that we had, that's where the 382 is. Where's my 50? Okay, cool, whatever. So, yeah, that's maybe not so useful. At some point, this is the 4-hour chart, though. 24-hour chart, that's the 4-hour, that's where the 50's at in the 4-hour. On the 24-hour, we're looking down towards here. If we were to get any of these moves, could it happen over the next wee while where that sort of first target move off the back of the shark zone in this shark attack area, could that end up being lining up with the 50 as we come in for a test of it at some point in the future? It could. If we did the second measure move, we would go down and testing that 200 simple. I'm really not, I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen at all with this here at all, but it's interesting that you've got this potential here to take us down past the 200 simple. A lot of dynamics would be coming in there at that point. Yeah, so what's the biggest city in the world? Well, it's got to be Dublin, because it just keeps on doubling and doubling and doubling and doubling. 1888 was the year that Dublin was named. It's also the year that Celtic Football Club was formed, of course, formed to put dinner on the tables of the poor in Glasgow. So it's a charitable club, one of the reasons why I like it. I've seen YFI drop 2,000 and go up back 2,000 in literally a fraction of a second. Anytime I am in YFI, I get anxious fingers. Well, there's even less sleeping to be had under those circumstances, right? Yeah, I don't know. It's got to be one of the more interesting ones of the moment, though, right? I'm interested in this in the DeFi world where we're going to see some things get killed and other things not get killed. I mean, I really almost can't believe that things like sushi and cream and all that exist. Really, next time there's one of these bullshit things, guys, let's all get together and make it ourselves, shall we? So that we can be the people that put the millions of dollars of Ethereum back into sushi or whatever and do that ourselves. Let's do that as a community. Let's pull the thumbs out, ladies and gents. Let's not let that next DeFi type bubble thing get away from us, where all you have to do is copy and paste some open source code and make a crappy WordPress site. Let's just do that ourselves. T-swap. Yeah, let's do T-swap. If it hasn't been done already, let's do it. Let's do T-swap. Where basically you go in and swap your moldy tea bags for shitty coins. Let's take a look at one coin real quick. Harmony 1, because this is one of the things I'll be talking about with trade spotting soon. There's a few old levels in there in the past. Death Cross over here back when we dropped back down the way, having gone up in the summer. We're golden crossed over here. You know, we always come back to test the 50. It's then at that point when you test the 50 what you do thereafter. If we're looking at this as an example of what it's like to have a trend towards the top side, where you come in and you put in highs and highs and highs, and you know what, you're looking at the highs and they're coming up, and sure, you get the occasional high that comes in as being bearishly divergent. All it does, though, is take you back down to the 50 to test it, come back up above the 200. Subsequently, there's this golden cross, and the prices went on up the way. And every time they pulled back down, while there would be big pullbacks, you know, over here you're looking at 92 down to 68. So you're talking like near enough 30% pullbacks and stuff like that. It keeps on going, and then eventually it puts in a top. And you know what? This top wasn't even bearishly divergent on the 24-hour time frame. Let's look down the way at 4-hour time frame and see this top. Was it bearishly divergent? Yes, it was on the 4-hour time frame, and then it went down the way, testing the 50 simple along the way. In fact, on the move down on that 4-hour time frame. Let's just go back over to Bitcoin real quick and say, you know, we've had this upward movement all the way throughout it being divergent on the 4 hours. In terms of the daily, you know, all this upward movement without any of that divergence all the way up, and then we're seeing divergence coming in now. It's really, again, looks like we're going to get some more today with these highs that we've had so far. Coming right in at our PRZ. Could we go on down the way if we see this coming in and testing things then on the 4-hour time frame, breaking down past the 50 simple moving average? Then maybe we should bear in mind what can happen in the world of crypto when things start to go to pot, which is like this. Anyway, that's the importance. Of course, you always come back down and test the 50 simple at some points, like we were talking about there. Then we moved all the way down. So let's draw on a Fibonacci and see at what point will we be taking out the 236 from the highs on the 14th of August down to the lows on whatever day that lows came in at. Are we going to call that yesterday? Something like that. The 20th of November. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The lows that we brought it into came in today. So this is what we're looking at, the 618. You know, if we don't actually change this around and trend towards the top side, I'd be looking in there with the potential for this to move up to 86. Look at that. Of course, that is near enough 350% rise towards the top side. Taking out the old measuring stick there, and a shout out to Zoner. And going up to there, 250%. There you go. You can see how good my maths is. Out by a whole 100% there, but no matter what way you cut it, that's more than 20% anyway, and that would be decent. But to get there alone, you're looking at having to move past these zones from here. 10 bars. Oh, I mean 10 bars. Yeah, that's irrelevant. Sorry. 93%. So you need a 100% rise up in the prices just to be coming in here and taking out the 236. That's interesting in and of itself. There's various other ways that then we could mitigate against those sorts of ideas, but just to know, first off, with this one, we're looking in here at 48 to being important in terms of where we came, and then we had our last bounce back up the way before moving on down, and you're looking for that comes in at 38. In terms of like the last actual sort of failed attempt, or the sort of the end of this flag, this bear flag that happened in this point here, then on down the way, the 236 is coming at 32. So if we wanted to have 3 easy topside targets, then, and as well the 50 in there lines up with 38 there at that point, and 56 is where the 200 is. So you would have 32 and 38 and what did I say the other one was? Like 48, was it? 48. All before you're able to get positive about this coin at all. And of course, 48 is 100% up from where we are right now, near enough. 56 is, in fact, yeah, 55 is where you see the 200 in coming in. Let's just call this 56. There you go, that's 56. That's what that number is there. If anybody asks, that says 56. 56. I'm going to come over and read the chat here again for a minute or two and see how everybody's getting on. And welcome to Kevin Docherty. Thanks so much for joining us. Oh man, what did I miss? Well, I'll tell you what you missed, and I'll go back through reading the rest of the chat that I've missed out since we said T-swap up there with Gray in a second here. What you've missed out on is Bitcoin technical analysis done 3 times on the show so far, really. Once with a very bearish look, once with a very more bullish look, which is, when I say bearish, I mean bearish in the face of an upward trend, with that fully explained and taken into account in the fact that the trend is your friend. When I say very bullish, I mean in that the bullishness is a given, and that really, what you're looking for is the least bearish potential outcomes in terms of where you would go to mitigating against certain factors, and then the upside thereafter, and where we need to break past and targets towards the top side, including, moving up as high as 25 or $20,500 is the sort of target. We've also looked at Cardano, we've looked at Ethereum, we've looked at Tezos, we've looked at Chainlink, we've looked at Polkadot, and we have looked at Ren. We have looked at, every time I say Ren, by the way, I'm reminded that it's like similar to that word Ren in Chinese, which means people or person, because I started learning Chinese 2 weeks ago or so, something like that. I started teaching myself Chinese. I do it during the weekends because I don't really have time during the week. And I expect I'll be fluent in Chinese in about, I don't know, a couple of months? Just kidding. See how long it takes me. It'll be a good laugh. It's one of the hardest languages in the world to learn, and since I already do one of the hardest things in the world, which is streaming on YouTube, I mean, that's really is pretty difficult to do in the first place. And then what I do is I combine that with an occupation where 78% of everybody who ever gets involved in it ever goes bust, and then less than 90% of people, more than 90% of people over the period of 3 years go bust, and here's me doing that anyway. So you take two of the hardest things in the world, you combine them together, and that's what you find that I'm doing on a daily basis on YouTube. Anyway, so my life involves doing the hardest thing you possibly can do, and I've decided to start teaching myself a language. That's one of the other hardest things that you can do, and I decided the language that I would teach myself is Chinese, possibly the hardest language to learn. Good one. Great. Nice one. So that's what I'm doing. Anybody wants to join me on that, then that would be cool. And actually, to be honest with you, I look forward to going back after I finish this stream. I will do light trading and learn Chinese. That's what I'm going to do afterwards. Anyway, let's read the chat. Once it dropped, 1K triggered my stop loss by 50 buckaroos. Then it pumped 4K. Blah. So sorry. Reading stuff like that makes me feel like, it's because I can sympathize with you, buddy. I mean, I know what that's like. I've been there. I've lived that. Reading your story makes me feel sick for you, and it makes me feel sick for myself in the past, of course, as well. This is life. I woke up happy, like, yeah, it's up. Then I'm like, oh, I'm not in it. Fuck my life. Excuse me, sorry to the for swearing there. What kind of project, said TL? I think you're talking about, I don't know what, I've missed out something there on that one. If anybody does want to work on a project, hit me up in the Discord. Oh right, yeah, I missed the Trade Spotting's chat before. Yeah, cool, totally. I think that's cool. I think that we will do that. I was also having talk in the Discord recently with a few people such as Nav and Ethan. If you're still here, by the way, buddy, give us a shout out. About setting up our own coin, by the way, a Rocky Outcrop token. It's something that I think I'll do at some point. And make it work for people, make a good token. Why not? Just do it. Make it pretty good. So yeah, cool, nice one. There we go. Like, sound. It's really great to have people like yourself involved in the community, by the way. Every single person here, I really do appreciate every single one of you. It's fantastic. It's fan-dabby-dozy. Moving on down the way, any blockchain ideas you might want to work on, says TradeSpot, clarifying the question from TL. I'll chip in with my own thoughts, and maybe we could get a few of us working on a crypto project. I'm sure a lot of us have complementary experiences. Oh man, what did I miss? Says Kevin Docherty. By the way, Kevin Docherty, is that the name? Am I right in thinking that you're a former world snooker champion? Let me just check, because if you are, I'd love for... no, who am I thinking of? Stephen Docherty? Who's the Docherty? Who's the Docherty from snooker? What's he called? Ken? Aye, Ken. Oh no, Ken, not Kevin. Sorry, is he your brother? Is that he your brother? He must be your brother. You got the same name. He must be your brother. So that's pretty cool. Right, sweet. Yeah, Trace One never pumped in. Oh wait, no, wait. Yeah. What did I miss? Making our own crypto. Yeah, let's make our own crypto. Let's do it. Harmony has the most potential of all I'm looking at. Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting project that has the potential to go up. You know, a heck of a shit ton. And this is us looking at it versus Bitcoin. By the way, for everybody who wasn't actually paying attention earlier on, these numbers are all in Satoshi values, and we're looking at it versus dollar values. It is a different story. We are closer to taking out that 236. It's in there at 6. A sixth of a cent. We're at half a cent at the minute. You know, we have just tested and taken out the 50 simple. If we can find this acting as support, we can go up. We know what this entails. We've seen this shape 1,000 times in the past. Let's hope that we get something which eventually turns into a golden cross, taking out the 236. Key areas, obviously all lining up for us there with potential for moving up the way. And you're talking about numerous percent increases in price. In terms of just like if you went from where it is right now up to its previous all-time high, talking about 168%. But in terms of like the movements versus Bitcoin, then of course this is where things get exciting. Fritham, my buddy, man. If I wasn't getting copyright strikes from SPX music, man, I would put your music on in the background right now. I almost feel like doing it anyway, but I did it in the last live video. And it takes so long to deal with the strike thing against it that I don't know if I can be bothered, to be honest with you. I'll tell you what though, I'll stick on your album after I'm finished here today. If anybody's interested, then go on to YouTube. Go to the search bar at the top here. Type in FRYTHM, right? And search for Fritham, and you'll see Fritham, and there's Fritham, and you can see what it looks like to see a guy with long hair make music on a computer in a forest. Tell you what, you're taking nature and you're taking technology, and you're putting the two of the things together with a look like you're some sort of Native American there. It's excellent stuff. I really like it. Anyway, you distracted me there. I'm still reading the other comments. Yeah, and I'm super interested in all these things as well. If we want to make our own crypto, that'd be cool. We could do it. I think that we could do an ICO of some sort. Yes, I think so. I don't know. I don't see why we couldn't make our own, or we couldn't make our own liquidity pools and stuff like that, and do our own system in terms of people being able to trade and take arbitrage and stuff like that on stuff. I don't know. I'm sure there's a way of doing stuff that we could do ourselves that would be interesting for us, and we could talk about it in the Discord. I'm always all ears for all that. Harmony has the most potential of all I'm looking at. Never pumped and dumped. One of the best teams in crypto and about to hit some big milestones. That's cool to see. That's what we're talking about in terms of fundamentals. A lot of people know a lot about fundamentals, and I'm not one of them. I don't claim to be, but Jamie knows more than I do, so that's cool. Kevin Docherty, not Ken Docherty, but Kevin Docherty. He's not a snooker player. He's a snooker player's brother. Very famous man in Ireland. Is saying that he'll fire back and watch that after his cheese toasty. Fantastic. Then what we have is Ross asking, when are you going, or when are you going? Well, I wonder, would I go to China or not, and how that would all work, and whatever else. If I learn Chinese, I'll be going to a Chinese takeaway and talking in Chinese there. There's always enough Chinese people, or the Chinese supermarket. Be going down to the Chinese supermarket. What Sao Richard? Ni de Dian Hua Shi Shua Shen Mei? No. Shua Duo Sho? Yeah, so that would be going down to the Chinese supermarket and saying my name and asking someone for their telephone number. Yay, I'm learning. Excellent. But tell you what, though, I am doing it. Cool. Zoner, Rocky Ice Duo, let's go. Fritham, what you up to, Rocky? Just checked in. Hope you've been well. Yes, I have been well, my good friend. Yes, thanks so much. And you're looking forward to learning more from me. I'm looking forward to having your music in my atmosphere. It's great. Thanks so much for that. Looking forward to seeing what TL produces on the music front as well, to be honest with you. And by the way, Fritham, if you've got other stuff that you just kind of discard from time to time because you're not really going to run with it, but you think it would make good sort of background, coffee table charting music, and you don't want it anymore. You're literally not going to use it on your on your channel, and it would not disrupt your creativity. Then I'd be really pleased if you were wanting to share any of that with me, because I'm sure I could make it work in the background music style thing. Background music contributed by the community is something that I'm looking for at the minute, and I think it would be really excellent to have that. Imagine this whole video was going along and you had people coming in from time to time and saying, "That music's brilliant. What's that playing in the background? I really like it. How can I get my hands on that?" And all I had to do was link to somebody's YouTube video because they've made it for the channel and all that. That'd be sweet. That's kind of what was happening with your music before for them, but then of course copyright strikes, and it's just annoying. And I know that's not you personally. It's the record label. Hey Rocky, how's your side of the world? Says Brian Green. My side of the world is really quite fantastic, Brian. What can I say? There was me trying to think there for a second, like what would be the standout positive thing from my side of the world to talk about right now, and I'm thinking not a lot. What with the pandemic and everything else, I don't really know. My side of the world's probably pretty much, you're coming from America, so yeah, cool. My side of the world is a bit chillier than your side of the world. We have better food. Let's face it. But you get more of it, so it's kind of like, what do you want? I went to Olive Garden when I was in America. It brought me back to when I was like 16, trying to impress a bird who had brought round to the house to showing, having watched like Can't Cook, Won't Cook on UK afternoon television as a young student, trying to chat her up and cook Italian food for her. Yeah, that's kind of the quality that I got from Olive Garden when I was in America. One of the most popular Italian chains. Yeah, I don't know. Some of the best food I ever ate in my entire life was in America, and some of the worst food I ever ate in my entire life was in America. And I'd say that 1 in 10 of those meals was maybe like right up there, and the other 9 out of 10 were right down the bottom. Oh, anyway, right. Oh wait, hey, look at that. Hey, sweet. Sang Shi Zi Shu. Rocky, that's him saying bye, thanks, Rocky. I have to run. We'll catch up with you soon. Keep up the good work. Check it out. Catch you later, Ross. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. I hope you have bonny evening, my buddy. And yeah, check it out. Chinese in there in Pinyin. That's cool. Check it out. I wonder if he wrote that himself. Do you also speak Chinese? That's me putting myself in a bracket that I'm not quite yet in, but I'll be there in like give me another 7 days or so, and I'll be fluent, of course. And brilliant. Now you're chatting amongst yourself about music. See you all later, Ross. That's brilliant. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Now I think what I'll do is I'll jump over to the timer here, and I'll put on one last timer. Right, 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Unless popular demand dictates otherwise, I am going to tune out in 10 minutes, ladies and gents. Okie dokie. So, yeah, let's kind of do a little bit of a market roundup, shall we? Run through the markets, make it so the last 10 minutes in this video is actually worth tuning into for people who have, not managed to get the benefit of being here live and taking part in the chat. So, diving in, Bitcoin currently sat there on spot prices at 18,544. By the way, keep on submitting your comments in there because I'll be reading them as well when we run out of time. So 9 minutes of charting and all that kind of summary stuff. Then I'll come back and just a couple of minutes to say cheerio at the end. Bitcoin on the CME charts here. This is my old drawings. They've not lined up properly yet. Pardon me. 236 is of key interest for us, 17,500 there on that one. 236 as well of key interest for us on the spot prices, with the price of that 236 coming in at where, because I can't actually see it in terms of these Fibonacci's I've got on here. It'll be on 100 different charts that I have right now, but let me just get it real quick. Talking in there at 15,227. In that area, we have the shark attack zone. This is a harmonic pattern that could potentially be in play. Let me just draw it in real quick. This is what we're looking to really is either we are in this world where you have significant areas like the high up there in July 2019, June, July 2019, the low of December 2019, the high in Valentine's Day 2020, the low down here in March, the Friday the 13th. Why did that not go on the chart? Up to our most recent highs, and I'm going to have to move the chart to make this fit on. This is actually the harmonic shark pattern. So you can check that out by going into the internet, taking your page where you were previously looking at Ken Doherty. Shout out to Kevin watching this stream, and instead you go shark harmonic pattern, and you go all and you go to the harmonictrader.com and you read this webpage yourself, and you'll see how it all works here with regards to this, and there's a YouTube video for you to do your research on. So it's dead easy to learn all about that, so I don't need to teach you. Let me just show you where it is on the chart, and this came in two forms. And if I go over to another chart here where we have those two forms more clearly visible, if I just keep talking, there we go, and I got there eventually, then you can see that it came in two shapes: a descending, broadening wedge, which had a target, which was in here at this point, where the prices had a big inflection in there at 13k, and we had on the right hand side we had a wedge which then has subsequent targets towards the top side. So taking out the broadening wedge target set us up for a nice move up the way. We actually took out that 886 Fibonacci retracement point when we went past this grey fuzzy line in here at the 12k area, setting us up for the 1618 to 224 area for the PRZ for that harmonic pattern, and it's right in there, and that's where we are. And we're asking other questions as well. Actually, if I just undo that so I can see, if I just undo, take off that, undo, go back, I've got my bottom trend line in. Yeah, I can zoom on in here and show you that we currently could potentially be inside of a wedge if we look at this on a decent enough time frame to see that as a possibility. And of course that would be a negative pattern while we have this bearish divergence on the go, but it certainly wouldn't be the first, and I don't expect it to necessarily even be the last if we were to push on past this zone in the face of those negative patterns and price action. Although if we were to not take account of the fact that we have had a retrace today of a few $100s, which is bringing us into touching distance of the 236 here on the move from the Fibonacci, taken from our lows here where you can't see the one because I've not got it highlighted. There you go, from this one here. If we did it from the lows on the 18th of November to the highs, coming in, taking out that 236 in there at 18446 is going to be crucial. So there's your 5 minutes on Bitcoin roundup. We can do the same sort of thing here when it comes to Ethereum. We've got a big ascending, broadening wedge off of this. If we actually had a full measured move off the pattern, off the back of this, and came down, the warrior target would actually be in there is at $310. That would be scary AF. So instead what we're actually looking for is to try and see if this can push on up the way, because I tell you, we'd all be happier with that in general. But we know some key areas to look out for, $493 being the key significant one. We really did make a big change in the macro picture really whenever we were able to close above the $400 mark yet again, taking out key areas from historical price action. And we have got bullish price action in the face of bearishness on the RSI. There is definitely a question to be asked there about the previous highs, and indeed we have room to go to the top side if we want to burn off the divergence, which otherwise would be here from the 1st of September. So in terms of the RSI alone, we would need to see this thing start to go quite crazy for us to get those benefits. Looking over at this chart, where I have this laid out quite clearly. There's the 4 targets towards the top side, and you're looking 585. Sorry, 2 targets towards the top side, 585 and 530. Medium target going to come in at 470. Lower area 425. Downside 376. Those are our main targets currently. We did take out that 393, 236 Fibonacci retracement. We did well. The next Fibonacci target towards the top side does come in around about that 590 area. Technical analysis summary. This is the zone we need to see being taken out in terms of Bitcoin. Take out the FIPL on the 4-hour time frame, move towards the top side, and give us the potential for testing in at these areas. Oh my goodness, I hope my stream's still up. So it makes me wonder, has the stream broke? These things happen from time to time. Just let me see. It seems to be doing that loading thing. I can't tell if it's working, so that means I can't tell if you get to catch the technical analysis or not. Well, okay, so I'll just keep going. I have no idea if the stream is going to start working for me again or not. I see that it's currently not working. That is currently annoying. Where is the stream? Where is my internet? If this comes back and is edited out, then you don't have to listen to me kind of yap. And if it hasn't, well then that's annoying AF. I hope people are able to sustain their attention levels throughout that gap. Right, anyway, this is what we're looking to. If we do go past that, then we're looking to try on the 4-hour test the 50 simple and push past it. Then we're looking to break the 50 simple on the 24-hour, and that is wrapping around this section here. So with any luck, the internet will come back on soon. What the heck is going on? It's still up, it's still up, it's still streaming, it's still streaming. Good, thanks, Nairan Navanethan, my buddy old pal. So yeah, simple point to be made there on the link analysis. Simply put, on the Bitcoin pairing, if we break past the 50 simple on the 4-hour, I'm looking for a test of the 50 simple on the 24-hour. On terms of the dollar pairing, if we move up past this zone and outside of this rising wedge, then we could form this sideways question mark pattern, which is the question that you ask whenever you've done a move and say afterwards, are we going to go sideways? As you can see, if we come in here, that's what could happen. The question mark remains, and we could be looking towards downside at that point. But I would actually get quite positive with a move above $16. That's the next sort of target in this zone. Let's say the lower end of that is 15.25 and then up to sort of 15.85. As you can see, this is very much a channel and we're at the top end, so it would not be unreasonable on the 24-hour time frame to expect to see a retest of the 50 simple at the lower end of this channel if we did pull back down the way. So we can bear in mind key targets that we have on this chart already written out in that box there already. With regards to Ethereum, we need to move past 29 or we ain't doing nothing. We're down here at the 50 simple again on the 24-hour time frame. The 3 areas to be aware of are where we are right now at the 27s, up there towards the 29s, and down there towards the 26.5s, because that is the 3 levels to be aware of. Right, cool. With regards to the Bitcoin dollar pairing, or the Tezos dollar pairing, you can see the malaise that we've had in recent times as with this regards to the suppression of the prices in relation to the 50 simple moving average here on the 24-hour time frame. So of course this is all coming in at around about these zones. Handily enough, this isn't the technical analysis I did during the episode or during the section of the analysis on the live stream, so you're getting a bit of a bonus here in that sense. But this really does sum up where we are looking to, and until we've taken out that 266, knowing that we've got in here at the not that Fibonacci retracement, knowing that we have in here on this Fibonacci retracement, which is kind of, you could make the argument that we didn't know this because I didn't have it drawn out there. We've got the 236 in here at 244, and taking that out, moving towards the top side, testing this 200 would be good. And that's cool. That could be a measured move off the back of the symmetrical triangle that we're in currently that takes us up towards that zone. If we're able to push past these extensions of that symmetrical triangle and get up towards that 244 area, doing that gives us a really good chance. But until such times as we're above this red line over here at 240, we're not looking at anything particularly special. And until we're above the green line here at 263, then of course we've not done anything. Then that's when we start to get excited. That is not a coincidence in my mind whatsoever. Despite the fact that I've not had the 200 simple on the charts for a very long time that we see that this lines up perfectly here with what we're looking at. So that's not a surprise at all. Looking over there at the other charts as well, we have other things that we could bear in mind, such as this pitchfork, and that we're finding resistance in here at the median line of it. Taking out 222 is the key for us. We need to sustain prices up above the 210 area right now. This could be a good buy opportunity. I haven't got in there at the 2.6 in terms of today's price action. Haven't seen the prices so far at 2.15 and retrace back down to where we are. I'm not going to say that it's actually necessarily either currently, especially that we're underneath that 50 simple. We could see things go either way. $2 is the target towards the downside if we do go down there. XTZ, ETH, we've come down here. Today's price action, of course, being the lows that we've seen, and until we've actually taken out these targets towards the top side, which, let me face it, let me, let you, let I, let us, all of us face it, are a gazillion miles away, a 55% increase in price. But should we do that, things get positive. Let's keep our eye on the 50 simple moving average here on the daily basis. We can see it is stretched so far away from that 200 simple, and in terms of like trend and moves, if we look at anything back in time, and a good example for this is always Bitcoin. Oh, what? There it is. There's my drawings. Did you see me complaining in yesterday's video and all the rest of it about my drawings not being there? And then during this live stream, I've been on that chart and they've not been visible. And no shit, I just drew them again. Oh, God. Oh, I'm too tired for this. I just drew them on the live stream again. So anyway, I got excited. Oh, that's embarrassing. Whatever. Right. Looking back the way, just as a general thing, it's nothing particularly special, but you don't want to see this getting too, like, going to ultra high in terms of the 50 simple moving up ultra fast with regards to the 200 simple, where it's not actually maintaining that upward slope over the long period of time. So just that kind of general concept with regards to the distance that we have between them. And if we want to see this crashing up towards the top there and that burning off. Movements up the way here will actually affect this quite a bit, given the range and the pricing and how we're so low. So it doesn't take too big a deal to taper off some of the downward movement here, going back 200 candles. Just taking that from where we are there, back 200 candles, means that everything that we've got in this period of time is up above that. So movements back up towards this zone, it's already at the point at which it would start to look okay again fairly. I mean, we could make it happen because it's so extended, is all I'm saying. It would take a lot of price action to happen, and it's a negative trend. Litecoin, we looked at that, by the way, I think, did we? Or did we do that in the last live stream? I'm just confusing them. I'd recommend caution for people, by the way. All we've really done is come up to test 200 simple. We've done that in the past as part of this overall downward trend. We've come in higher than we were previously. We managed to do that without divergence there on this point. That's great. But looking back the way, this actually adds up to hidden bearish divergence until such time as we've actually managed to really secure this 200 simple as opening and closing above it. So that's with the Bitcoin, regards to Bitcoin and dollar coin. Yeah, great. Hidden bearish divergence was there, visible on the weekly time frame. Just remove that, go back up to the weekly and show that ultimately we've stayed within the bounds of where we're looking to. We're actually on the crunch point now at 83. If we see a pullback from there, then of course, then what we see is just yet more of the same. There was this hidden bearish divergence between these 2 points. All you simply have to do is just drag that over and say that really that what you're looking at is between those points there instead, and nothing really changes until such times as we take out those highs at 137. But actually, overall, we've had a really nice movement towards the top side and finally got some resolution above our 17th of February highs, which we obviously saw a long time ago in terms of Bitcoin. But just a comparison, that was their highs over there in February. Took that out back in the middle of summer. It's been a long time with a lot of upward price movement since, and Litecoin has looked kind of crap in the meantime, and overall it's been a crap performer versus Bitcoin, as we can see with this downward trend. So there is the chance of us having some nice movements towards the top side now that we've done this and achieved something of note with a bit of bullish divergence as we put in a bottom and we took out our previous high. So we've done a few things. I want to see a higher high coming in. Movements below the 50 are catastrophic for its price action, and I would see that reflected in the dollar prices too. Taking this up here to where we are, by the way, movements below 75 now become a real problem for Litecoin. Continued sustained price action above 75, very good and happy, very good for me, very happy for me in the night. Let me just point out as well that we only have the top end of this Bollinger Band having moved past this area as the recent price action. As we can see, it's past the 236 there. We don't have the median line of it past the 236. There's a good spread on there. If we wanted to see a pullback, we could actually get one down as far as 58. There's chances of us continuing and going towards the top side remain pretty good because we're in an upward trend. It's the bull market after all. And yeah, there's a chance of us going up and moving up the way we actually came in here and finished off the previous price action on the 24-hour time frame with regards to our previous high as bearishly divergent. So there you have it. It's not looking as good as it could be, especially in regards to the disparity and divergence in the market. But there you go. It's finally doing it. Maybe we're catching up. One coin I talked about is potential XRP. I talked about during the video. Can't really be bothered doing it anymore. Did a lot of talking about this. Mustn't have used this particular chart. You can see this inverse head and shoulders down the bottom. 236 lining up with the Fibonacci, which she drew in properly earlier on, and is also at the 236 there, and got two Fibonacci's lined up on top of each other. So that seems to be a bit. No, it's not. Okay, so it's just that the numbers are wrong. Let me just put the numbers above the. There we go, that's clearer. Sound. So 1853 for the Bitcoin per inch for movements up the way. Pretty good going here. Did a lot of analysis on this one. Volume is there, shapes there, everything's here, twin peak here, could have a cup with handle. Quite easy to push past this zone though and say that that's not happening. Take out the 1618 there at 35 and I'll disregard any idea about a cup with handle on this one. Failure to do so though, and I could still see it being as possible even with an extension past our previous peak, and we could then ultimately look down towards 27. That's a clear 10 to 20% movement down the way with the potential for a handle here before taking a measured move that could see us come all the way up to 40. You could ride that the whole way without having to do too much hard work. Ethereum Classic, big triangle. Can't find it, so I'm moving on. Don't care. And what we got? I mean, look at this. Like weakness in the dollar versus the yen. The dollar, by the way, is risk-on currency. The yen is a safe haven currency. This has been going down the way, strength in the yen. You could say that Bitcoin has been going up, and then therefore, you know, it's a safe haven as well. Arguments about that, I think, have always fallen short of the mark. Let's do a quick comparison with gold real recently, because that's everybody's classic, and we can see here that when we got those highs on the 5th of August, we saw the prices come down the way. So what I would like to actually show people is the then confused picture that we get when we look at this SPY. And this will be the last thing that we do. And I'll come back into the chat, read the last of the messages, get your last messages in now before we tune out. This is probably some golden technical analysis just here as we finish off. By the way, real keys for us to know about the overall movements in the market. You'll see here that we've been putting in all-time highs. You'll see that this high came in here at this point in August, at the middle of August. You'll see here that we had this high in the middle of August. This is gold to the dollar, and then we saw the prices dropping down the way. Then we saw that the and this is safe haven. And then we see on the USD JPY, which is safe haven, that we have had this going down the way, the dollar versus the Japanese yen, which is what you're saying is that people are putting money into safe havens, whilst we saw the gold going down the way, which is people taking money out of safe havens, at the same time as we saw Bitcoin going up the way, and people making the argument that this is indeed a safe haven. Well, I would actually put a big question mark with that right now, and instead draw your eye back to the S&P and various other ones and show that we've had all-time highs coming in here, hugely bearishly divergent, massive worries on this chart right now with regards to all these movements and gaps that we have down below, and the bearish divergence that we've had in here in an election period where you don't see markets react in the run up to it. Generally speaking, it's after it, and this is of course what RO. Risk on. This is RO, Rocky Outcrop, risk on. And we're looking at the Rocky Outcrops on here, the risk on assets. And we're saying this is risk on as we're coming in and putting in all-time highs this week here. So would I say that there is a perfect storm brewing with these risk on assets with regards to looking at these things and seeing that safe haven asset going down, and asking a question then with regards to this Bitcoin, which as people have said is safe haven, but we've actually know is probably risk on still, just like the stock markets are. This is risk on, and that this is actually performing in a risk on way. And then we can have a canary in the coal mine for us, bringing us all the way full circle back round to the Japanese yen yet again. And I'm going to jump back over to the charts, read through the comments, and see what everybody's saying as we come back over to the Japanese yen yet again and see this downward action here where we have an appetite for less risky assets showing us here, while we have the gold prices having also shown us a decrease in appetite for risky assets, which is a divergence in terms of the structure in the market, showing people don't really know where to put their money, while we have hugely divergent tops in terms of the charts on the traditional world, and divergence here at the tops in the shark zone right now with regards to Bitcoin. So if we push past it, that's cool. Everybody's happy. We're just doing our thing that we have been doing all along. And if we don't push past all these prices and instead we turn around, you are in that tiny group. That tiny group, I would say less than 10,000 people in the world know what we just talked about. Yeah? Less than 10,000 people in the world know what we just talked about. I would say that's a pretty accurate statement, regardless of other things. By the way, I've not checked out that video, by the way, Andrew, yet, that you were talking about, Andrew Castro, with regards to what Kevin Svensson says, and all the rest of it. But what we're going to be looking at just now is the final comments, and then I'm tuning out here. So thank you so much. Let me scroll up here on the comments and see what we've missed out on. That was later whenever Ross checked out. Keep up the good work. Thanks, by the way, buddy. Brian, you sir are not wrong, haha. Olive Garden is a restaurant version of Hamburger Helper. Yes, so bad. So like you get so many bad meals in America, but then you get so many good ones. I had one of the best meals I had in America was in Brooklyn in a vegan Chinese takeaway. It was maybe the nice. It was like you really should have been taking it away because the restaurant part was so bad. And everybody else that came in just sat at the table to wait for their takeaways, sat there eating a meal. But oh my god, it was just so good. Best food in America, I think. Tiny little Brooklyn Chinese takeaway, best Chinese takeaway I've had in my life. I was thoroughly not expecting it. TL, no samples. Oh yeah, cool. Fredham's Music. Unfortunately, the distributor I work with handles all of the YouTube copyrights, so I have no control over that. Yeah, cool. It's okay. It's all good. Don't worry about it. See, yeah, says Ross. Yeah, I've done electrical work for Olive Garden. The back where they cook looks like the same as a fast food restaurant. Only difference is the stuff that comes in is frozen. Is Italian instead of greasy burger. Yeah, cool. So it is. It's just a dump. Have you heard of Ren? I've done it already in this in this video, by the way, Brian. It's earlier on, so you can definitely go back and check that out at some point. Really dirty, and this was in a nice area, so I can imagine what the other ones look like. Yeah, totally, you can imagine as well. I went to one in God, what was the place called? Was it in Palm Springs itself? Might have been in Palm Springs. Might have been. I think it was on the place just before Palm Springs when you come out of the mountains. It's full of Whole Foods and rich people. Really dirty, yeah. Little tip, bookmark Tezos tickers for future reference. See you. Bookmark Tezos tickets for future reference. Bookmark Tezos tickets for future reference. See you. Yeah. There's probably a few things you mean there that you're saying, and I'm probably not picking up on it, but you're probably right. I'll think about that when I'm not in live stream mode. Tezos has a nice daily range to play with until it breaks. It totally does. You're right. Navanethan says it's still up. That was whenever my stream was going to pot, so that's cool that it was still working. I wonder if you saw the timer count down there, or if it just kind of cut out that wee bit, but I think he says it's still up, so it's all good. Any theories as to why Mr. or Mrs. Satoshi hasn't sold their Bitcoin for profit yet? Well, I reckon they have sold an awful lot of it for profit already and made billions. I don't know. Maybe it's just in the same way as that, you see people that collect Star Wars toys that are still in their box from 20 years ago. I mean, like, they're the most collectible Bitcoin in the world. Their value only goes up. I find it interesting and have heard some interesting conspiracy theories. I, too, have heard interesting conspiracy theories. Yeah, this is a bit of a funny chart to have up behind me. I suddenly realised as I'm ending the video. But, yeah, well, cool, whatever. It was all part of our chat. It all made sense at the time. Someone on YouTube or someone on TV yesterday said it was China and that BTC was going to be their world currency once they took over. They're going to be their currency. No, I think the Chinese digital yuan will really just be their currency, but they might back it with certain things. The concept. By the way, this conversation that happens with regards to digital currencies and stuff like that, really Bitcoin only has is positioned to be a reserve currency as opposed to the actual one that they're using, unless we see the technology and things like the Lightning Network increase at such a rate that it makes it worth it. From conversations I've had with people recently, it doesn't seem like that's necessarily the case. Far better position to be reserve currency. But yes, sure. Why not? Great stream. Thanks, Rocky says. Trade Spawn, get the tip jar on before your birthday. Absolutely, you need to get the tip jar on there before my birthday. Shout out to everybody who's watching this video. If you've got any experience with OBS, live streaming on YouTube, and all the rest of it, let me know. I'd love to have some quick tips about how to get my tip jar set up there on the show, so people can contribute. That would be sweet. And Kevin Doherty 99,99,000. Yeah, over my head. Cool. Yeah. No, I'm sure you will understand it. I maybe explained it badly there. What I'm saying is that there's a really interesting dynamic that's happening in the markets right now, and this is rare. It's never really seen in the past. Okay, I invite you to go ahead and look at all up the information yourself if you want to. I'm sure there'll be an awful lot out there in terms of economic theory. And I'm sure there'll be an awful lot out there in terms of historical information from just looking back in the past at certain things like the Japanese currency versus the dollar at times whenever there are. Thanks very much for that. Yeah, I know. It's got my signature on there down the bottom and everything. Geeky Whispering says, nice abstract painting chart. So it's also totally inspired by all the Chinese I've been learning. Here's some Chinese lessons. There's the character for 1. There's the character for 2. There's the character for 3. Now you all know how to count the Chinese in 1, 2, 3. There you go. Nice little lesson for everybody. Free information as ever on this channel. All right. So what I was talking about there was just the correlation that we normally see between risk on and risk off assets. When we're in a risk on appetite, what we're willing to do is put money where our mouths are, buy stocks, write it up, take those longs. Everything's great. Let's take that. It's money in the bank. You can't go wrong. Whenever you're in a risk off attitude, you're talking post 2008 financial crisis, where everyone's like, I don't want to get involved in risk. Give me my cash. Give me my cash back. I want cash now. Cash does become king. Cash becomes king at the top of markets. The coronavirus drop was a preemptive. It looked very shaky beforehand. The question has been since, is that enough? Was it enough to get us to carry us through? The same thing happened with regards to Bitcoin, with regards to the halving coming up as well. We were looking at a big potential for volatility and potential for a squeeze and a minor capitulation, which never really actually ended up happening. All we've seen is miners being profit the entire time because of the way that the economy has gone, and Bitcoin has benefited from it in the March to now price rises. Of all of the time up to now, how in terms of risk and what we're looking at, you would say that we were in a risk on attitude since March till now. What we're seeing is that people like to still have this conversation about Bitcoin being a protection against inflation and a risk off asset. Well, it's very much a risk on asset. And that there's a disconnect at this point right now where we're seeing the prices of gold go down versus the dollar, the prices of Japanese yen go up versus the dollar, as opposed to those working more in correlation like they normally would do, and which means that there's a risk off attitude towards the dollar, a risk on attitude towards the stocks that are priced in the dollar that are hugely overpriced, and huge divergence on the stock markets. And the question then comes down to how much do you believe that Bitcoin and the associated cryptocurrencies can remain operating with a bit of a risk on attitude in a world where we see that money flows towards cash and safe haven assets. If that happens, we will see it happening. One of the first places that we'll see it happening will be in a trend change in this safe haven asset right here, the USD JPY. Something that might help, and if we're going to be looking at fundamentals, then this is far closer to a fundamental with regards to Bitcoin price than something like Bitcoin Cash having a pretend fork the other day. Okay, that not fundamental, this real fundamental. If you want to know about fundamentals, by the way, and the value of them, I really would encourage people who are interested in fundamentals to recognize that there are fundamentals and then there's fundamentals, if you like, and that a lot of the so-called fundamentals that you're looking at are just probably BS. Anyway, Kevin Doherty's back here to see us off here. I think I need to just buy you that pizza I promised you, and you can sit me down and give me a noob guide on using Bybit, etc. Kevin, absolutely, that is possible. You know, we could probably even actually do that sometime. I could actually probably set up a live stream. You buy me a pizza on Just Eat or whatever in the UK, don't know what country you're in. Get it delivered round to where I am. Obviously keep that information about where my address is nice and safe. I don't want everybody knowing it in the world. And then I could sit there and eat that pizza and talk to you about it on stream, and we could let other people come along and join in and chuck money in the tip jar while we do it. We could do that one day. That might be worthwhile. Deal. Scotland. Sweet. There we go. Excellent. So we'll figure something out for the next live stream. So a couple of things to look forward to in the near future for myself. One of them is more of these live streams. Okay, taking back on board any feedback that you give me. Really looking forward to that. Join the Discord if you want to give me that directly. My birthday is coming up at the end of the month. I'll certainly be doing live stream during that. I'll be doing live stream on the day. I'll have some cake with you. It'll be great. It'll be really fantastic. Maybe do a Mitch Ray, buy myself 2 bottles of wine and get pissed on camera in the evening time if I feel like doing that. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. How long till my birthday? Just 10 days now, so that's fantastic. And yeah, cool. That'll do for today. It's been great, by the way, everybody. Really enjoyed the live stream. I'm going to say cheerio to y'all. I'll just check in and see how many people are actually watching right now. 11. So to the 11 people who are watching right now, if you haven't hit that like button, seriously would appreciate it. Once I've published this video, if you leave a comment on there to help the algorithm kind of see it, that'd be great. And share sections from this video with your friends if you find any that you think would be interesting to those friends of yours, because I'm sure there's probably something in here for everyone. Thanks for the entertainment and of course the TA. Yeah, you know what, as well, something that I'm thinking about is that I might pivot slightly a wee bit towards being a bit more along the lines of entertainment than I am even currently, because I honestly believe that the TA that we do on the channel here tends to be, in the track record so far, and I've tried to audit it, I really have tried hard to audit it all, as being so far that it's been the best TA on the internet. I think by a huge margin, and I'm including the people who I actually really think are really, really good out there. I'll not name names at the minute, but I'm basically including I think it's the best out there, and what we're seeing is minuscule growth on the channel and all the rest of it. And besides, I'm also an entertaining guy, more or less, and I could do that. I could pivot towards entertainment a little bit and do some of that because it'd be easier for me. Like I said earlier on in this stream, I'm doing the hardest thing available, which is trading. I'm combining that with the other hardest thing available, which is talking live into a camera, broadcasting that out into the internet publicly for the whole world to see and shoot you down about. So the first thing that I do, 70% of people go bust immediately, 90% plus go bust over the period of 3 years. Here I have been doing this every day pretty much for a year on the internet without having done any putting a foot wrong. Feels like, you know, playing with fire to an extent when you see the growth and the payback that I get from YouTube for doing this. I do get an awful lot of satisfaction, let me be clear as well, by the way, in terms of helping people learn and grow. So that's my main thing from this. But I want to surround myself with 1,000 good traders, and then we'll see where we go from there. And that. But obviously, subscribe to this channel now if you haven't already, because we are a daily crypto technical analysis channel, you know, and that's what we do here. So that's me tuning out now. To anybody who's just tuned in, if you give me a like and a comment, that'd be massively amazing. If you scroll back into the video, you'll find me talking about various different coins. I do try to make it easy enough to see what we're talking about while we're doing it. So you should find it easier to navigate than a Mitch Ray video, for example. And yeah, and if you're watching this after the fact, then I really do appreciate you joining. And if you left a comment down below, that'd be really great. And a like on this video would be fantastic too. At that point, and I will see you in the next live stream. Thanks everybody. I'm going to say cheerio now. Tuning out. Been Rocky Outcrop. How long's this stream lasted? 3 hours, 45 minutes. My goodness. See you later. Thanks so much for tuning in. Oh, one last thing before I go, if you're still watching, is that these streams are all going to be moved over to members only, and all my old content is going over to members only as well. I mean, like I say, I haven't put a foot wrong all year. If at any time you want to look back in the past and see technical analysis from a particular day of the year which actually explained what was going to happen and turned out to be 100% correct, then all those videos are available on the channel. It's pretty messed up. The degree of accuracy is so high that I've actually decided to just make it that they're members only. So old videos, when I make them nowadays, because the quality of the analysis is too good, I'm not going to leave it out there public for everybody. So that's another thing. If you want access to my old videos, you'll have to hit the join and become a member of the channel to see them on YouTube, because otherwise it's just too much good free information out there for people. It's the best on YouTube, and I'm not joking. Anyway, catch you later. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really do enjoy doing these with people and getting the comments. I'll catch you in the next episode.